is it?
Aye, just follow your nose till morning.
Aye. What was that?
You've all the time in the world. Kick off snow till tomorrow.
All right. Well, thank you, Santa. You're a prince. Now, you know that, don't you, eh? Listen, I'm awful sorry about the wee...
No problem, Ian. Give a wee shout for me, would you?
I'll do that, Santa. I'll do that. I'm terrible sorry about the wee accident.
No problem, Ian. No problem.
Don't fancy coming with me, eh? Oh, come on. You can park your wee van over there. Come on!
No, got deliveries to do, money to earn. We're no all men of leisure, you know.
Oh, well, there you are. Aye. Cheerio then, Hughie. Cheerio, sir. Safe home now. Cheerio!
Man of leisure.
Well deserved and all. Quiet weekend?
Wife's mother's coming over. Something you'll not be bothered with a lot.
I don't know your wife's mother.
I'm not sure I do. I have met her.
Listen, George, while it was quiet, I was... 442's a chicken's way.
You don't even play the game.
Right.
Afternoon, Sarge.
So when I'm watching with the clean, clinical eye of the dispassionate observer.
Cobblers.
Still here?
Oh, just winding down, Mum, after a feverish morning leaning on the desk.
Don't knock it. Why have we so many on crowd control? Leaves us a bit thin, doesn't it?
Well, there's a student demo at the sixth form college against something or other, and there's the big match.
Oh,
City are playing our Caledonian brethren. Footballing coppers want to go.
5 forwards, 3 half-backs, 2 full-backs, and a goalkeeper.
Custodian of the leather. Sarge? Didn't you read The Wizard, you two? The Rover, the Hotspur. Cannonball Kid, Baldy Hogan, Nick Smith, it's goals that count.
Yes, thank you, Sarge.
Oh, Brian and Danny, I've had a telephone call from Councillor Mrs. Porritt. Her mother's cat has turned up missing.
Her again.
I know, but her mother insists that several cats have gone in the neighbourhood and there may be cat thieves about.
Cat thieves, Mum?
Yes.
You heard of cat burglars, surely to God.
Very good, that's
All right, that's enough.
You can sell cats for the fur. And animal experimenters often get taken in by people who claim that small animals have been specially bred for experimentation.
So, keep your eyes out for plain vans with no markings and nothing much to do.
Oh,
And traces of cat grub on corners.
yes, sir. Is it a crime, though, Mark?
Oh, it's not going to happen in Harvard, whatever it is.
You take the high road, and I'll take the low road. And I'll be in Scotland half 4 years. Well, Warsaw, the 42nd Warsaw, the Metro War, Warsaw, the 42nd sailing good.
Come in.
I think we can cover the demo. We can't cover the demo.
No need, it's off.
Oh. Well, I'll save a bit of overtime.
What?
These cats.
What about these cats?
They're wild animals, you know. Unless they've been reduced into possession by or on behalf of another person, or possession has not since been lost or abandoned. And that's not easy to prove.
In the eyes of Hartley's pet owners, they're friends, companions, and very often lifesavers. So we'll stop it, please, George.
Very good, Mom.
With 5 forwards, you'd be bound to get more goals.
You don't even play football.
Look, I don't play the piano either, Bri, but I can recognise a wrong note when I hear one.
Where's your tone, dear?
Hartley Police? Yes, madam. Oh, one moment, please, madam. It's for you, Bri.
Oh, Tom. Constable Kelleher.
Yes, Mrs. Potts. And what kind of cat is it?
What's all this mess? Yes, Ginger, yes. Demo's off.
Oh, great. How about a couple of hours off tomorrow?
Little one.
Get us a brew and I'll think about it.
You know?
Yes. I think we'll get the head down. Yes.
Where is she?
She took some mash out back to chickens.
Well, full daylight.
She's nearly full grown. I can't keep a prisoner.
Funny characters around. For her own good.
You fuss, Arthur.
I'll be right to fuss. This is my responsibility.
Magpies.
Get her in, Ellen. She worries me out there, the way she is.
Sooner or later. Sooner or later, Arthur.
All right, but just for now, get her in, will you?
Listen, George, I was wondering. When you were wed.
Well, I won't what?
Keep your voice down.
George!
Oh,
Hello, Joe. You can't keep away, can you?
Just having a word with the duty officer, ma'am.
oh, hi. Yeah, you can't keep us working coppers off the beat, eh, Joe?
If I live to be 100, I will never understand men.
Afternoon.
Hello, sir. You're running a bit late, aren't you? I thought you were supposed
Look,
to be
I
over
can't
at-
stop. I'll drop by later if that's all right.
What time?
Well, if I knew what time, I'd have told you.
An idea, then?
Look, it's something big. I can't talk about it. And I would like to see you later.
And you can't tell me what time?
No.
Then don't be surprised if there's no one there. Right, Joe. George.
I wondered how you went on. When you were wed, George, when you were wed. I don't want to blow by blow. It's just I'm a bit rusty on the form. It's been a long time since.
I think you're trying to tell me something. I wish I knew what it was.
What do you want?
Oh, nothing, Sarge.
Well, there's plenty of it about. Get yourself a bucketful and take it through the back.
Yeah, but...
Arthur. Arthur!
All right. All right, is she in?
Of course she's in. Put that flaming gun away.
There you are, see? There you are. Now, you're much better eating corned beef than you are eating bits of me, see? Because I'd only give you food poison. That's the way. Anyway, you don't want that blood all over that nice fur of yours, do you? There you are. Now, Black Bob, you just take that end, and I'll just cure it in here. Nice and quiet with the medicine.
You'll be telling everybody, I trust.
I wondered about that.
Well, people might feel a little insulted if you don't tell them, Joe.
You reckon?
I do. The boss will be very slighted if you just let it go ahead and don't even mention it.
You could be right.
Do you know, was Inspector... Something on?
No, sir.
Was Inspector Lawton going straight home, do you know, or did she have something on?
She didn't say either way. She'll possibly ring in later. Probably ring in later.
Well,
Is it something important? Should I get someone around there?
No, might slip by myself. Right.
That's a prime example of what I'm talking about.
How?
People should talk to each other. That way there's no chance of a misunderstanding arising.
Yeah, you could be right. But this is a bit different.
Not at all. It drops exactly into the same socket. You keep yourself too much to yourself, Joseph. Think on. And what's the chances of getting an invite?
Oh, I shall have to consult the oracle.
Do.
I was hoping to keep the fuss to a minimum. What?
The epicentre of a wedding is fuss.
The epicentre?
The eye of the storm.
That's who uh-huh. That's it. Right over there. That's
I was concerned, worried about you. But no one knew where you were.
I knew where I was.
I did say I might pop round.
Ah,
Did you not think it worthwhile letting me know where you were?
no.
Where were you?
I was out, Mark.
Oh.
Yes.
Look, I needed to talk to you.
And I needed to be out.
To assert your precious independence, I suppose.
Yes. And you're half right, as usual. My independence is precious to me, but I don't use it as a weapon against you.
Oh, no, you just sail off out knowing that I want to see you and you don't say where you're going.
Look, maybe it's time to stop and talk a little.
Talk about what?
About where our relationship's going. Oh. Well, don't run away from it.
I haven't time. I've got an early start. I just called round to see...
Where I'd been?
Yes.
Well, we've got to talk about it sometime.
Morning.
I think you're right.
I'd be pig sick if I wasn't. Saturday morning at that.
About telling them.
Good. Good lad.
Retailing the good news.
Uh-huh.
And I've got news for you.
Yeah.
Give us a hand if you don't mind with the formalities.
Oh, no bother. Glad to.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
What's first, do you reckon?
Well, I've been provided with this checklist, which should help quite a bit.
Morning, each.
Morning, Mom.
You're spending a lot of time huddled together, you two. Nothing sinister going on, I hope.
Mr. Perrin was looking for you, Mom, last night.
And?
Nothing, Mom. Just wondered if, Just wondered, Mom.
Don't wonder, George. Work.
Yes, Mom.
Keep your voice down, can't you? You're bellowing like a bullcalf.
She's been out in the night. She's been out, look.
It's time, Arthur.
No.
It's past time, Arthur. Yes.
Oh, no. Maybe not just for a wee while yet.
What are we going to do?
Ellen, if I knew what to do, I'd have done it long since. Long since.
There should be someone we could talk to.
Talk to anyone at all. You know the first thing will be, don't you? Well, don't you? Don't worry, sis. Don't worry. They'll not get you, not now.
back upstairs.
I want to see Sergeant Beck.
Well, I'm afraid he's not here.
Oh. My cat's disappeared. Oh, not this one. My other cat, he's gone. No, this is his brother. Do you remember him?
Yes.
Yes.
I see, and what would you like us to do about it, Lydia?
Well, I'd like you to find him, please.
Ah.
I think he's been kidnapped. No, I brought you his brother so you'll recognise him when you find him. They're twins, you see. And
what, love?
have you somewhere you could look after this one for a bit? I'm afraid he'll go too. There's just the two of us now since Brian, that's his brother, went. Please.
Come in. I thought you had a job on.
Stuck. Busy?
Well, have to be somewhere in an hour.
Come on, then. I'll drop you. We can talk on the way. I mean, that's what you want to do, isn't it? Talk.
Yes, I do. I think we have to.
But?
Yes, but it's just not very convenient at the moment.
You have another appointment?
Yes.
One that you don't want me to drive you to?
As a matter of fact, yes. Can I ring you?
Of course you can. Providing you accept I may not be in.
Oh. Excuse me, sir. You tell me the right road to Manchester?
Manchester?
Aye.
Right road to Manchester?
Aye. That's in Manchester City where they play the football.
You're 40 miles away from Manchester.
40 miles?
Aye.
What time is it?
About 12:30.
What day is it?
Saturday.
While I come back and see. Yeah, here we go, here we go, here we go. Oh, here we go. Scotland!
Sacred in Egypt. Cats.
Ah.
Sacred.
Yeah. No, I never got to grips with them myself. I don't like the way they look at you, as though they know something you don't.
How did he get on, by the way, with that...
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Ian Dowan at your service from the border country, as you will have guessed. Now, my ancestors were cattle thieves, but honest folk have naught to fear from wee reavers, particularly if they have no cows.
Danny.
Oh, Dowd, Sarge. I caught him in the high street having a corrida with all the passing cars.
Ah, yes, an ancient Scottish custom recently revived in Pamplona. It's called the running of the Cortinas. Excuse me a wee minute. Your colleague here has very kindly offered me the hospitality of your establishment. I, for my part, have very graciously accepted.
This way.
Fair enough. God, mate, you don't afford to get your floor fixed. Any score yet, boys? Are you English, by the way? Sounds it right. Here we go.
We don't even know that he saw her.
Then why were police picking him up?
These weren't told ship on. He was drunk, weaving about.
It were early morning. How were he drunk at that hour?
Oh, that were wide, but there's no parsnips.
They may not have seen her. You're right.
Right. It's gone further than that. We've got to do something for good and all. I mean, if she's going to go wandering about. Did she really go into that barn?
It doesn't make that much difference. But we've got to face up to it sooner or later. Maybe it's best done now.
I could go to the police station.
What for?
Well, find out why we're picked up.
What good would that do?
Well, we know how much time we have before we have to do something about Sissy.
Do what?
Well, if I knew what to do, I'd do it.
I got this. Seems to cover most of the routines.
Oh, yeah, very comprehensive. Are you going in for the full panoply?
Full panoply.
Pipes and drums, regiments of choir
Give
boys.
up, give up.
Interesting bit here about who pays for what.
Ready. You know, half of me's worried sick. The other half's like a little kid off to the Tower Circus. I also have a list of names for you.
Yes, sir?
I want to report something.
Slipping out. See you shortly.
Now then, Mr...
I don't want to make it official. It's probably something nothing.
Well, just for the record.
Field. There was this bloke, Scotchman, I think he had a kilt on. Drunk as a skunk he was, wandering about early on.
Yes, sir.
Well, I thought you ought to know. I mean, it being Saturday, kids around, you can't be too careful.
Now, we have the matter in hand, Mr. Field.
You locked him up, have you?
Have you some special interest in this Scotsman, Mr. Field?
Inspector Longton in, George.
Not at the moment, sir. Just a minute, sir.
I must go, big guy.
Will she belong?
Morning, sir.
Ah,
George.
look. We have things to talk about.
I can't talk about anything at the moment. Just at the moment.
Tonight, then.
I can't, Mark.
I've booked a table at the White Crow.
There's something else on. Why did you not ask me first?
It's all right, doesn't matter. See you on Monday.
So I must have missed the day then, eh?
Today is most certainly Sunday.
Aye. Oh, listen, thanks a lot.
For what? Locking you up?
Oh, I know what kind of clown I can be when I get a few drinks in me.
Aye.
You know, they call me Pile back home.
Pile?
Aye, I can be a real pain in the bum. I'll tell you, the last couple of days have been a complete mystery to me. There was a wee lassie that... Oh, no, it was flying. Feel no pain. Hey, listen, it was 1-1, wasn't it?
It was.
Aye, well, away goals count double. We'll stuff them. Cheerio now.
How you feeling?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, morning, sir. Will you be here long?
No.
Several lights have been smashed in the tunnel under Hartburn Avenue. Looked a bit systematic to me. Have a look at it, would you?
Right. Hey, there was a fella in here yesterday, rough-looking, farmer sort of chap.
Don't remember.
When I came in with the etiquette book,
Oh, aye, him, Field.
he were parked up outside.
What, just now?
Yeah.
He was asking after the Scotsman.
Who, Annie Laurie?
Why?
He just followed the jog down the road.
Car? That fella had about 450 quid on him.
Well, you don't have to worry about him anymore. He's gone.
On where?
Back across the border, where he should have stopped.
How do you know?
I waited outside police station. I saw him catch the bus. The coach, he's gone.
It isn't the end of it, Arthur. We can't keep her hidden forever. She's not a little girl anymore.
Hartley to 7740.
7742 Hartley.
Any sign?
I'm at the bus station, Sarge. Got the bus long since.
See if there's any sign of that, what's his name?
Field? What was he driving?
Red Escort Estate, K-Reg, scruffy looking.
Partly to 7740. Look out for a red Escort estate. K-Reg, scruffy looking. On the roads leading to and from.
Roger, Sarge. Spark's out.
Something and nothing.
Yeah, it's odd, though.
What is...
That Scotsman we had in drunk.
There was someone asking after him just after he came in.
And?
Same punter were outside this morning.
Mate, picking him up?
Local accent.
And he watched him walk off, and then he followed him down the road.
Didn't you say that Scotsman had a lot of money on him?
Nearly 500 quid. I sent Danny Sparks after him, but he got the bus an hour since.
Oh, the same.
Well, Danny's looking for the other chap.
Good. Oh, sir, can I have a word, please?
Well,
It'll not take long.
well,
I'd just like to try and explain...
explain. You don't have to explain anything to me.
But I'd like to.
All seems perfectly obvious.
Does it?
Yes. Yes, it does. You know, I thought we had something of a relationship. I thought that perhaps we could rely on each other from time to time for, what's the phrase? Help and succour? I think I was probably wrong.
Will you listen?
No, I needed you last night. And where were you? Unavailable. Now, I was very available when you needed me for that Beck business. I bent over backwards for you.
Well, if I had have been able to, I'd have done the same for you.
Oh, don't put yourself out. It's not necessary. I know where I stand. Fine. Where were you?
I was out, Mark. I had to go out.
Even though you knew I wanted to see you.
Look, I'm not a cup of Horlicks. Don't take me for granted.
Is that it?
Yes. Seeing as you're not going to listen.
Fine. See you in the morning. On parade at the usual time. Inspector.
Yes, sir. Damn. What, my love? Give these to everyone in the morning, would you, Joe?
Ma'am,
Yes?
I wonder if...
What's this? Oh, Joe. Oh, I am pleased. That's the nicest thing that's happened all week. We must get together as soon as we can. And it goes without saying, I accept. It's Monday. If we let it go, a week will run into another and another and another, and weeks run into years.
Oh, you stop mithering.
I should have kept on mithering years ago. It's not just us anymore, Arthur. It's her. What kind of life she going to have? What kind of life she had?
Damn sight better life than she would have had locked up.
It doesn't matter about us.
Oh? What if they locked us up? What then? What sort of life would she have had then? Use your head.
Perhaps we could speak to the doctor. They're not forced to say out.
I can't trust nobody. I'll think of something.
Well, you better add, because you can't keep that chain round her waist forever.
Morning. Come through for a minute, would you, George? And you, Joe, if you have a minute. I'm saying is make the effort fit the need. Don't put too much emphasis on stuff we can afford to relax on. Come in.
Sorry to bust in.
Thanks, Joe. George, I'll catch up with you later. Mark?
I need 2 PCs for a surveillance in the Blackstone area.
Fine.
Do you care who?
No. Oh, Mark.
What?
There is one other thing.
Yeah.
I've booked a table tonight at the Owls for 8:30.
What?
The Owls, okay?
Why didn't you ask me? I can't go. I'm going to a retirement. What are you laughing at?
See how annoying it is being taken for granted. Well, have you a free date?
Always find room for a pretty girl.
What?
Said it on purpose.
Pig.
I've never pretended to be anything else. Tomorrow?
What time?
8:30.
Okay.
And I'll book the table.
Did you put them both on the same invite?
I'm not so green as I'm cabbage looking, brother. I put on hers and friend.
Yes, sir.
I wonder if I could have a word with somebody in private.
Could you give me some idea what it's about?
It's me.
Pardon?
Me, I was the madman.
Good God. I bailed you till next Monday.
Yeah, well, I was well out of order there. That was ridiculous. Listen, I'd like to apologise.
Is that why you've come back?
No.
Why then?
Well, one to see if I'm nuts, right? And the other one to see if I ought to stop drinking.
Well, stopping from time to time to draw breath mightn't be a bad idea in your case. Well, go on then.
Find that van yesterday?
State car I was after. Brian's looking for a van. No, I never, Sarge. What is that, Sarge?
Just another thread in the rich tapestry we call life. What's this van you're looking for?
I think I found it, and I think I know what'll be in it.
What?
Load of purloined pussies. Fella from the cash and carry gave me a bell early on. Apparently he's got a customer who's suddenly gone berserk with canned cat fodder.
Who?
Well, his name's Billy Flagg.
Don't go after him on your own.
How drunk were you?
I would say it was pretty fair saturated.
And you still think you saw a young girl with a chain round her waist?
Ornamental. Kids wear all sorts these days.
This was definitely a dog's chain. It trailed on the ground behind her.
You said there was a dog there, Mr. Doward. Are you absolutely sure you're not making a mistake?
No, I'm not absolutely sure, but even if I'm halfway right, do you not think it's worth having a look at?
So what's so special about Flagg? He's the mind of a baby and the body of an 18-stone man, and he's not predictable.
Why don't you go with Brian, Sarge?
Get someone to keep an eye on Mr. Doward, please, Joe.
Okay.
Did Mr. Doward say he'd recognise the farm?
He says the dog will know him. He's reasonable about finding the farm.
I think I'll take a buzz along the moor top.
No, I don't think you should, Mum. Let me do it with Danny Sparks.
I'd have more chance of getting in, I bet you. And we've no reason to go mob-handed.
Mob-handed, Mum?
All right, you and I'll go, and we'll take Doward with us.
How about letting me see if there's a field in the book first?
All right.
Yeah, but if cats are wild animals in the eyes of the law...
You know that. I know that. It's later you'll need to check your nose.
Come on, Joe, you may as well hear this. And you find something to do, please.
Hey! What do you want?
Are you Mr. Flagg?
No. Mr. Flagg's me dad. He's dead. I'm Billy Flagg. What do you want?
This van's full of cats.
I found them on the street. They were lost. Do you want one? My mother will kill me.
He looks like him.
Well?
Can't you tell? Looks the same.
Well, we're here. What now?
He looks perfectly normal.
Look,
Well, everybody sit here all day or what? There's one good way to find out if I'm right. Go and knock on the door.
George, we'll drive up to the gate. You keep an eye out while I go and talk to him.
I'll come in with you.
You've got no good reason.
Listen, I can tell him I lost my wallet. I needed to pay a fine.
Mrs. Field,
What do you want?
could I have a word, please? This is Mr. Doward. He slept in your barn.
Trespassed.
Oh, sorry about that.
So?
I lost my wallet.
No one here's found it. Not Mr. Field, not me.
Is there anyone else who might have picked it up?
No,
Are you sure?
just the two of us.
What about the wee lassie?
No one else.
Look!
Who's that? Maybe we'd better go inside. Do you mind?
Not him.
No, he can go back up to the car.
She knows.
Better come in then. All of you! All of you! Go and get her. Go and get her, let them see. Sit down, you.
If you put that gun down...
I'll put it down when I've finished using it.
Look at her. How could we let her roam loose?
She's simple. She was born simple.
She can't speak. She can't understand. She can do nothing for herself. What were we supposed to do?
There are places that she could have been looked after.
We look after her before I let her go in one of those places. I'd shoot her. And you and him. And then the pair of us.
Is she your daughter?
I bore her.
Who's her father?
I bore her. That's all you need to know.
Put the gun down, Mr. Field. Guns solve nothing.
She's right. Put it down.
They're right, Arthur. Maybe some good will come out of this. He's Arthur Field. I'm Ellen Field. We're brother and sister.
Then you must be this young lady's uncle, Mr. Field. That's all anybody needs to know.
She's deaf. She's not simple, she's deaf. Have you kept her chained up all these years because she's deaf?
She's the way she is because of God's judgment. God's judgment on us.
Did you get one, Sarge?
What do you think?
It's very nice of him to ask you so.
What's the matter? What's the problem?
George, there's something about the whole situation.
Get a brew on, Danny.
Right.
Sarge, can you spare a moment? I've got a little problem.
I want you to know in advance, Sarge, he thought this one up all on his own, Sim.
I mean, what possible good have we done?
Well, what's happened to the child?
I got her a place of safety order.
So she's safe at least.
If she stopped crying.
Well, she's probably getting all the help she should have had years ago. I don't even know what you're worried about. Those people are evil.
What?
As far as we know, they kept a young girl chained up. Chained up. For years.
But that was only recently, after she started to wander.
How do you know?
They're brother and sister.
I don't care about them. I do care about a young child who's been denied a childhood.
Yes, but you
Don't
can't...
forget about them. What they reap, they sowed. Think of the child.
You're right, aren't you?
Yes. Yes, I am. Big Charlton?
In with the shotgun offence, yes. As for the rest, I don't know. What do you think?
Headquarters will decide one way or another. But they'll get a caution at the very least. Maybe more.
Fine. See you tonight.
Yep.
What?
It's a stag do. Joe Beck's daughter's getting married.
Morning.
Hello, Mr. Parrish.
My God, you've made an old man very happy.
Aye.
He's not a bad old codger, as old codgers go.
Just watch it, you young woman. Bossing, George.
Could you pop out a minute, Mum? Joe's here with his daughter.
Hello? Hello, Eileen.
Hello, Inspector. Thanks for the present. Thank you too, Mr. Perrin.
Oh, good. Good. Glad you liked it.
This is about my date taking second place to your fella's stag do.
He's over from Dublin and he's no mates over here, so they've all said they'll take him out for a drink.
Oh, yes. There's something I want to ask you. Do you mind slipping in here for a few minutes? I didn't see anything, then. And that's what I want to see next time I look in there.
Very good, Mum.
Preferably without fur.
Sleep well, Mr. Farm Manager. Well, my beauty, got a bonus for you tonight. Brought 4 lovely young ladies to visit you.
Right, he must have had the time of his life. Be like me with all line of chorus girls locked up in an hotel room for the night.
Hey, you dirty old man, Jess. I didn't know you still had fantasies like that.
Oh, I'm not dead yet. Not even dead on my feet. Unlike that bull, eh, Ted?
It's no joke.
Come on, lad, you've got to see the funny side
He's
of it.
not getting away with it.
It seems to me he already has.
Oh, don't worry. It's nothing nature won't sort out in a couple of hours. Well, I've got plenty of calls to do this morning. I'll be seeing you, all right?
Aye. Aye, take care.
All right.
Do us a favour, Jess. Don't mention this to anyone.
Oh, I'd like to oblige you, lad, but I can't see as it'll make much difference. It'll be all round globe when Beck goes in for his lunchtime pint. Does he always come out to you so quick?
So he should on what Mr. Hastings pays him through the year.
Aye, money talks. I suppose if I paid my vet bills a bit quicker, they'd do the same for me.
I'm going to the police, you know.
You've met yourself more of a laughing stock than you are now, Ted.
Bill Sullivan's been getting away with it for too long.
How do you mean?
He knows nought about farming and he thinks he can learn at our expense. He'd pinch anything he can lay his hands on. Hay, silage, straw.
Aye, I did have a bale or two go missing myself, but still you can't be sure it's him, Ted.
I can, and I'm going to put a stop to it. Farming's a business.
Not to me, lad.
Some of your herd needs serving. That's business.
I suppose so.
Him sneaking those scrub animals of his in here at dead of night. Well, that's trespass. But it's stealing. Well, call it what you like. It's got to be a crime, and I'm going to go to the police.
You are sure that's why your bull couldn't,
You heard the vet.
That's okay, then. Only if it was something else, I might have been able to help you, Ted.
How do you mean?
Well, wife's put some stuff out for church jumble sale. And there's a lovely little handbag in there that'd just suit that bull of yours.
Well, frankly, I'm rather surprised at your attitude, Jean. I thought you'd be pleased to have him with you.
I don't mind me. I've just got this natural aversion to whiz kids.
Aye, the lad is mustard, all right. Outstanding cadet, top marks in his sergeant's exam. You give him 10 years, he'd probably outrank the pair of us.
Meantime, he disrupts my patch for a few months. He's just going to look on us as a sort of waiting room for crime squad. You realise that?
Now, don't prejudge him. OK, so maybe he needs some rough edges knocked off him. But he's the sort of lad tomorrow's force is all about. Wheel him in, shall I?
Right, sir.
Come in, Sam.
Thank you, sir.
Sergeant Bloom, this is Inspector Darbley.
Pleased to meet you, ma'am.
Morning, Sergeant.
Isn't there somewhere else we can go and talk?
What's wrong with here?
Mr. Hastings right, Bill. Why don't you go into the sitting room? I'll bring you a cup of tea in later.
Anything he's got to say concerns you as much as me.
As you wish.
Right, come on then, let's get on with it. Still got a lot to do today.
Yes, you have taken on a bit too much, haven't you? Pity, because I admire what you tried to do.
Oh, yeah?
It's not even as if you've got farming in your blood. What was it you did before you came here?
I was in demolition.
There are families who've been on the land for generations wouldn't attempt what you're doing.
Yeah, well, we can't all afford a farm manager. I mean, some of us have to do it all ourselves.
You're wrong. I know what goes on my farm. And I know what you're trying to do can't work. You're too small.
In which case, we'll find out for ourselves in the end.
It'll be too late then. You'll have lost everything. Now, please, accept my offer. It's the last one I'll make, Sullivan.
I like it here. I don't want to sell.
There's more to life than cleaning ditches or milking cows. I'm putting the village shop up for sale soon. There'll be a lot less work for you, Mrs. Sullivan.
Look, if we wanted to buy a shop, we'd have stayed in Birmingham.
Perhaps that's just what you should have done. I'll say good day to you, Mrs. Sullivan.
Won't you stop for a cup of tea? The kettle's on the boil.
Another time. I'll leave you two to discuss this between you. Perhaps your husband would be interested in a woman's point of view.
Now, don't get upset, sir. I'm just trying to work out what needs doing.
I'll tell you what needs doing. You've got to get down there and sort him out.
But you've got no evidence that this Mr. Sullivan was responsible.
Ask any of the farmers round here. He's the only one who pull a stunt like this.
Yes, but we do have to work on the facts, sir. I mean, I don't understand much about farming. Is this some sort of test the vet can do to see which cows were involved?
What's the trouble, Martin?
This is Mr. Hastings' farm manager, Sarge. They've got this bull.
Hastings Emperor the Fourth.
And it seems that one of his neighbours got his cows onto Mr. Hastings' land last night and broke into the pen where this Hastings Emperor was kept.
Get away.
Must have been quite a night, Sarge. Because by this morning, the bull wasn't really interested in performing his duties at all.
Yes, well, that does present us with a problem, sir. Difficult to know exactly how to frame the charge, you see. Have to look that one up, I think. Bound to be a reference to it somewhere. Under animal husbandry, perhaps, or sexual assault.
Of course, you might find it a bit quiet round here after your previous postings.
Oh, I don't know. It's all a question of attitude, really, isn't it?
How do you mean?
Well, I reckon there's always plenty to do in this job if you look for it.
Maybe, but if you look for trouble, you sometimes help start it.
Sorry?
Part of your job is to be involved in the community. You get more cooperation that way.
Oh, I know all about community policing, ma'am.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, it's all right, up to a point. But I don't reckon it's part of a policeman's job to be everybody's friend. You can end up turning a blind eye when you should be nipping things in the bud.
That's about a lot.
Well, thanks very much.
I'll mention it.
Ah, Sergeant Bloom, just the lad I was looking for. You busy this evening?
No, ma'am.
Good. Then we'll have a chance to show you what community policing really means. Some of the lads help out on the day centre outing. Driving, lifting wheelchairs, that sort of thing.
Suppose I'll be roped in as usual?
Of course. I've been invited to sit in on the committee meeting tonight. It'll teach you something about good public relations, David.
More like bore him to death.
He's got to get used to that, too. Besides, he will have one very important job to do.
Oh, what's that, ma'am?
To get me out before Mrs. Sangers pins me in a corner afterwards.
I reckon a forklift truck will be your best bet for that.
Could you excuse me just a minute? You were supposed to be rescuing me from her.
Yes, well, that didn't look too easy.
I'm disappointed, David. Mr. Logan said unarmed combat was one of your specialities.
Nobody give you a cup of tea, Mrs. Tablet?
I'm just going, actually.
Ah, I see. Well, it was good of you to come at all.
My pleasure.
I think it's all gone quite well, don't you?
Kind of you to let them use the house for the meeting, sir.
More convenience than kindness. I've had to have several business meetings here today, so it saved me a little bit of travelling time.
I see.
I've had a computer installed. As you can imagine, it's caused a bit of an upset.
I can imagine.
At least you're moving with the times.
I had it installed on Ted Margett's advice. Bright young man. My profit's been looking up since I took him on.
Well, they will do. More people should realise that microtechnology is just a new sort of servant, not some sci-fi monster. See a real revolution then.
You and Ted might have a lot in common. Of course, he does tend to take things a bit too seriously, hence that little upset.
Not at all. If an offence has been committed, he has every right to report it and expect something done.
Well, it is a valuable animal. They're selling him for AI, artificial insemination, as you know, and I think that Ted was a little worried that that fiasco might have upset the price. A question of infection and so on.
Of course, if it's that valuable, you really ought to think about tightening up your security.
Sort of male chastity belt, did you mean?
Wasn't quite what I had in mind.
Well, security's not easy, especially with 1,600 acres to look after.
No, but you really ought to think about it, Mr. Hastings. Your insurance company would have a fit if they could see how easy it would be to break into this house.
Don't tell me you've been sitting there all night counting the number of locks that can be picked.
A good police officer never goes off duty.
You really ought to do something about it, you know.
Well, I'd be happy to consider any suggestions you may care to make.
Sergeant Bloom here is acting crime prevention officer. I'm sure he'd be only too pleased to get things organised.
How do, Chess? Hey, just the man I wanted to see.
Oh, aye.
Plenty of spuds?
Enough.
I'll be out sometime to buy up my winter supply. 4 of them 25-kilo packs should do it.
I'll put some by for you. 4 half-hundred weight.
Oh, aye. I was forgetting you won't go metric. Started using decimal money yet, have you, Jess?
One is decimal, all right. Else it wouldn't go so damn quick.
What can I do for you?
I had a bit of chain-link fencing over in my west field. Somebody's pinched it.
Oh, yeah?
Wonder lot, you know, just what was left over. Only had a couple of repair jobs in it that had just suited.
I see. Mafia moved in up your way, have they?
You what?
We don't normally get you blokes in here from one month to the next. Now, all of a sudden, we've had 3 farmers within a week reporting petty thieving.
We're entitled.
Of course you are, Jess. Right. Get down a few details, shall we? Chain link fencing, you say?
Aye.
How much was taken?
Just what was over, not a lot. 4 or 5 yard, maybe. Could be more, could be less.
And when was it taken?
Hard to tell, really. I mean, you never notice so much missing till you need it, do you? Been up there a month or 2.
You don't want to leave stuff lying about, Jess. It's an invitation to thieving.
It's my land.
Yeah. It's not going to be easy to find out who took it, though, is it? Not on what you've given us. It's all a bit vague.
I know who took it. It was Bill Sullivan. His land borders onto my Westfield, and it was seeing him doing repairs that reminded me I had a few.
Well, why didn't you say so in the first place?
He's not a bad lad, really. He's just bitten off more than he can chew.
How do you mean?
Well, there's not a lot of money to be made at what he's doing. Look, I'd just like one of you lads to go up and have a quiet word with him. Let him see he can't put things right at other folks' expense.
I see.
Spuds will be ready when you want them, Joe.
Well, that's good, you know, because real lead can be stripped away, and then, of course, the individual pain removed very easily. Invitation.
Well, what's the verdict, Sergeant Bloom?
Well, I've seen worse.
Good.
Then again, I've seen a lot better. I don't know if there's a market for hot combine harvesters, but you've got a lot of valuable equipment here that could do with more care.
Oh, Ted's the man to talk to about that. He runs the farm.
I've been taking notes, Mr. Hastings. It all seems pretty sensible.
And you'd be wise to spend some money in the house, too. Front door's like Fort Knox, but that's not the way they'd come in. So I've suggested bars on all the windows.
Right.
Of course, I'd favour an electronic system myself. Some of the new ones can even differentiate between different sounds.
Really?
Yeah, mind you, they are pricey. But you're always going to have problems here with the place being business as well as domestic. You got people coming in and out all day.
Yes, well, we have had rather a lot of pilfering over the last year or so, but then with a business this size, I suppose I've just got to write that off.
No, I mean, do take on casuals. Then there's a relief milk.
Well, you should at least try to get people to be more security-minded. Open door, for instance. Invitation to a thief these days.
Yes, I see enough of that as a JP. Still, it would be a sad world if we couldn't trust anybody, Sergeant.
You don't always do someone a favour by trusting them, sir. I'll leave you these leaflets to be getting on with them.
Boots! How many times have I got to tell you to get your mucky boots off before you come in here?
Blimey, you're in a rotten mood tonight.
You went out without opening the post this morning.
Yeah, well, I've got a lot on at the moment.
Well, let's hope it's profitable.
I managed to scrounge some spares for the tractor up Old Vickery today. They're not easy to come by. Now I used to carry them on the ark.
Is it working now?
What, the ark?
The tractor?
Yeah, just about. Vickery let me have them cheap so I could buy my pint. That's where I was at dinner time.
I wanted to talk to you.
Talk away.
Rates, water rates, electricity.
Yeah, thought they were about due.
Overdue? We've had the red ones. These are the dear sir unless. Of course, there's other ones back there, but they're being more polite about it at the moment.
Well, at least the gas board ain't threatening to cut us off.
We haven't got gas.
Just trying to look on the bright side. Look. We knew it was going to be hard for the first couple of years.
I thought I could maybe try and get a job for a while.
There's not much about. I haven't got enough work to do here. We both have.
We've got to do something.
Saved by the bell.
Mind if I come in? Mr. Sullivan, innit?
Yeah, pull up a chair.
Would you like a cup of tea?
No, not for me, thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. Don't let me stop you, though.
Don't worry, you won't.
Is there something wrong?
A few local farmers have had things go missing. Bits and pieces, you know. Bale of hay here, bit of silage there, a few yards of chain link. Have you had anything nicked?
No, not that I've noticed.
Oh, you've been lucky then.
Yeah, looks like it.
Then there was that business with Mr. Hastings' bull. You must have heard about it. It's the big joke in your village.
Yeah, I think somebody did mention it, didn't they, love?
You haven't got very many cows yourself, have you, Mr. Sullivan?
No, just the 4. We haven't got much land. 0 graze what we have got.
Yeah, it's a specialised market. We sell all our produce through health food shops. We do a very good line in cream cheese with walnuts. Perhaps you'd like to try it?
Not at the moment, thank you. Where do you get your cows served?
I can't remember the name of the place exactly. Applebrook Farm, I think it was, something like that.
Well, there'll be a record of it, won't there? And you could take me to meet the owner of the bull. I think, what with all the jokes that have been going about, Mr. Hastings doesn't want to hear too much more about it, so he's not keen on pressing charges. He's entitled to the serving fees, of course. I'm afraid the beast has a pedigree as long as your arm, so it doesn't come cheap. Still, it'd be in your interest to settle up as quickly as possible. As to the other bits, I don't see much future in dusting bales of hay for fingerprints. But if it gets to be a habit, we'll find out who's doing it, and he'll be inside so fast his feet won't touch. I'm sure you know what I mean. Good day to you, Mr. Sullivan. Mrs. Sullivan?
on a minute!
What do you want?
It's about that bit of chain link I borrowed.
Oh, aye.
Yeah, well, it had been lying about so long, I didn't think you noticed. But Kate reckoned it was well out of order.
She's right, lad.
Fence is down your side on that Westfield again. I thought if I fixed it, we could call it quits.
That sounds fair enough.
After all, we don't want to fall out, not now we're in the same boat.
How do you mean?
Well, I hear Hastings after buying your place and all.
Oh, he'll buy out everybody round here in the end.
Yeah, you mean that damn manager of his?
Oh, Ted's all right. His father used to own the lead farm, you know.
Oh, what?
Aye. Hastings bought that place up while Ted was away at agricultural college. Bit of a shock for the lad, I suppose. He was hoping to get that place himself.
Yeah, but he's gone over to the other side now, hasn't he? With bells on.
Happen it suits him. I mean, he can do things now he'd never have started on his own, that's for sure.
Have you heard his expansion plans? Battery ends, intensive field. It's factory farming.
Some people call it progress, lad.
Not you, though.
No. I've been with stock all my life, and I reckon every creature's entitled to its bit of freedom. Still, it's his land.
Look, if everyone talks like that, they'll own half the country before long.
Probably will anyway. Let me give you a bit of advice, lad. It's not worth getting angry over things you can do nought about.
It's hard not to when I spent all week scraping enough money together to pay them serving fees.
Better than having the law round your neck, isn't it?
Oh, I'd like to stuff it down Ted Margett's throat.
Happen to be enough room, too. There's a big mouth on him, as Ted.
You're still £5 short.
You what?
You got to pay something for the inconvenience. I don't know anybody else who expects to get their cows served in the middle of the night.
You know how hard it's been for me to get that money together?
Go back to the police if you prefer.
Three.
That's better, Mr. Sullivan. Pleasure to do business with you.
Look, I wouldn't ask if I didn't have to, but...
No discounts, very sorry. That's not how we do things round here.
You're checking on casuals, ain't you, to knock them buildings down?
Aye, I'll be sorting out this afternoon.
Well, demolition used to be my trade.
But you didn't stick to it.
Look, I could do with a few days' work. I haven't even got enough to cater house.
Very kind offer, Mr. Sullivan, but I think I'll have enough applicants to choose from.
Whatever you think of me, I'm a good worker. I'll do a better job than anyone else you'll get.
Clear off, Sullivan.
Look, you've had your money. At least give us a break now, will ya?
Said get out.
What are you trying to throw me out?
You aren't a charge of assault to everything else the police have got on you.
What's the matter, Marge? It's can't you fight your own battles?
Not when I got the police to do it for me. I don't keep a dog and bark myself.
Ah, you creep.
Get out, Sullivan. I never want to see you on this farm again, understand?
I'll make you sorry. However long it takes, as a promise.
You think so? Well, we'll see. We'll see who's sorry, Sullivan. Right, now these show each of our different crops. For instance, winter barley, winter wheat, oilseed rape. At the press of one more button. The decision disc will tell us our exact requirements for the next 12 months. And to the last penny, how much we're going to spend and how much we're going to make.
Very impressive. Suppose you'll be looking for a large rise in salary next year.
Bill Sullivan turned up this morning.
Oh, aye. Came to pay his debts, did he?
He had the cheek to ask me for 3 days' work.
And did he give them to him?
Well, casuals, 10 a penny just now. Besides, I wouldn't use him if he were the last man in the county.
Well, he must have been a bit desperate to have asked.
No, he's on his uppers, all right. Started threatening me when I said no.
Well, do you think we ought to see the police again?
No, it's just hot air. Man, I shan't be sorry to see the last of him.
Oh, we could have a long wait. He's a very stubborn man, is Mr. Sullivan.
Stupid, I'd call him. There's no way he could make a go of that place. But people like him shouldn't be given good farming land, even if it is only a few acres.
Ah, but useful acres, remember?
You mean the access agreement Jess Redfern's got with him?
Aye, well, I'd want the same if I bought Redfern's place. Can't just transport stuff for miles, just get to a main road.
Well, I can't see us getting any agreement with Sullivan.
No. But wait a while, and we may be able to buy the land from the receiver when he goes bankrupt.
Solve a lot of problems all round.
Aye. Well, is that all you wanted me for?
Except for your signature. I'll need the cash to pay the casuals.
All right.
Been quite a few calls for you while you've been out, Mum. They're on your desk.
Anything urgent?
No, not really. Mrs. Sanger's been round in person.
I was lucky to miss that, wasn't I?
She's on another diet. Gave me a calorie-by-calorie breakdown of me 11s. Took all the fun out of it.
Oh, that reminds me. I got you a present.
What is it?
Cream cheese with walnuts. It's local.
Sullivan's Dairy. Oh, the Midnight Cowboy.
It's a present from his wife.
She's okay. Got her hands full with him, though, I reckon.
Well, let's hope she can keep him in check from now on.
There was one other thing, ma'am.
Oh, yeah?
Young, smart Alec's been giving me the benefit of his theories on police procedures.
Sergeant Bloom, not the most tactful of souls.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he's a great time and motion expert, but we're quite happy muddling through in our own way here.
I'll mention it.
I've seen a few of the programmes.
Oh, yeah?
By accident, you know, when I've turned on to something else.
You sending me up?
Just a bit. How long will it take you to get your degree?
About 6 years.
Let me now. You're not married, are you? Why don't you get out and enjoy yourself while you still can?
This'll do my career more good than down in pints.
Got to sergeant quick enough, anyway. There's a lot waited years after they passed the exam.
Means a lot to my parents, me getting on. Anyway, there's nothing wrong with being king.
Oh, nothing that experience can't cure, anyway.
Hartley Police. Right, sir. We'll get somebody round there straight away.
Yeah, well, it's always the way with only children, isn't it?
Ah, just the man.
Trouble?
Yeah, and I'm afraid it's not much of a compliment to you.
Eh?
You did the crime prevention chat at Hastings' place, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, he's just been burgled, and his manager's been assaulted. You better get round there and pick up the pieces.
Right.
Feel better for that, do you?
Much.
Sergeant.
How are you feeling now, sir?
Still a bit shaken up.
Ah, well, we'll get some details down. As soon as we do that, sooner we can get whoever it was.
We're all a bit quick.
We'll just start at the beginning, try and remember as much as you can.
Well, I went into town, I had a few things to do for Mr. Hastings, and I got the money out to pay the casuals.
And how much would that be?
Not a lot, just for the day. 80-odd pounds all told. Got back to the office. The place was... well, you can see the state of it. I came in this door, and there must have been a bloke behind it. Well, he came at me sharpish, whacked me in the stomach, and took all the wind out of me.
Did you get a good look at him?
Oh, I think he was wearing one of those ski mask things. Like I said, it were a bit quick. I've got this old satchel that I carry the money in. He grabbed that, pushed past me and ran off. Shouted for help, but there was nobody about. Then I heard a car start up in the lane.
I see. Did you see anyone when you arrived? I mean, did you notice a car then?
I wasn't expecting to see anybody. I mean, all our blokes are at work at that time of day.
What else was taken from the office?
Well, we've checked around. There's not a great deal of value to take. I mean, a bit of petty cash, a few stamps. My guess is he was giving the place a good going over when Ted here interrupted him.
But there are a few papers missing. No, they're not worth a lot, but they'll cause a lot of bother.
And the money? How many people would know you'd be carrying cash in that satchel?
Oh, anybody could have worked it out. I mean, we always pay our casuals cash by the day, and with unemployment as it is, well, the word soon gets round when we need labour.
So we're dealing with a pretty long list of suspects then?
Oh, no, I'm not so sure. I know most of the chaps round here, and I don't think many of them would get involved in a thing of this sort.
Well, we get a few drifters, of course, and...
And?
I just thought of something. I said I heard a car. It didn't start first time. Sounded like a bit of an old banger.
Well, there's plenty of those about.
Oh, but I know someone who's got one. I'm not saying he'd do a thing like this, but... well, he did turn nasty the other day. He wanted a few days casual, and I said no.
Sullivan?
Right.
All right, sir. Perhaps you'd like to tell me what you've been up to today.
What's all this about?
Mr. Hastings' farm office has been burgled. He's had some papers gone and some money nicked.
Bill wouldn't do anything like that.
I didn't say he had. Just needs a bit of cooperation, then we can eliminate him from the inquiry. Well, sir?
I don't keep a minute-to-minute diary of me day.
I'm not expecting one. Just a rough idea, eh?
Well, I had a few jobs about the place, you know.
Like what?
I finished the milking about 8. Then I was bringing in the last of the spuds.
Anyone confirm this?
No, work on my own. Don't have any farm labourers here, you know. We're not like Hastings. We do it ourselves.
I see.
I met Jess Redfern. Chatted to him for a bit.
What time would that be, sir?
About 11, I suppose.
And after that?
Had a few drinks at dinner time. Maybe too many. Look, it's difficult to pin things down to the exact minute.
Well, perhaps I can help. One of the labourers at Mr. Hastings' place says he saw your car parked in the lane by the farm. Now, what would you be doing up there, sir?
Look, we've had a few problems lately, and I wanted to get a few things straight in my mind, see? So I went for a drive, and then I walked down by the river there.
Oh, even though Mr. Margits had made it quite clear he didn't want to see you up there again? It's a bit thin, isn't it? Look, everybody knows how you feel about Hastings and Margit, so why choose to go walking up there when you've got land of your own? And where's your car now, sir? It's not outside, is it?
Be in the car park at the Globe. I told you I had too much to drink. I walked back.
Oh, yes. I was forgetting what a keen walker you are. Look, Sullivan, I don't think you've quite understood what's going on. The game's up. This is where you say you got me banged to rights and all that rubbish. You sign a statement like a good lad and we all get home early for once. We've got enough to charge you with. We got enough for a conviction.
Well, why didn't you get on with it then?
Because, believe it or not, I'm trying to help you.
But why didn't you charge me or let me go?
It's like the man says. We're trying to help.
We know all about you, though. Got a bit of previous, haven't you? Hey? D&D, the odd punch-up.
OK. So I'm a bit daft when I've had a few drinks, but this is different, isn't it?
Oh, you're dead right. This is a serious crime. Now, you keep spouting not guilty, and that is public money wasted on a trial with a result as clear as day. Now, people are fed up with this sort of thing, you know. Nobody's going to be sorry to see you get put away for it.
So what's the alternative? Perhaps it's a bit closer to the truth. You got made redundant. You've had a hard time trying to start a new life. You've got a wife to support and you're well in debt. It was a spur-of-the-moment job and you're sorry now. OK, you spent a few bob in the pub, but you'll pay the rest back. Plead guilty and look for mercy. You've got to have a better chance than trying to tough it out.
I didn't do it. I never went near the place.
Oh, sorry, just going home, are you?
Yeah, was it important?
Well, I don't know. Mrs. Sullivan asked if you could see her CID is still talking to her husband.
There's not much I can do by the sounds of it, George.
No, it looks like a teen sympathy job. I can handle it.
No, it's all right. I'll see you. I've forgotten what an early night's like anyway.
Mrs. Sullivan, Mum.
Come in, Mr. Sullivan, sit down.
Thanks for seeing me.
That's okay. But I should tell you at the start that your husband's case is a CID matter, and I don't think there'll be much I can do.
I see. Look, Inspector, I know Bill seems wild, but there's more to him than that.
There usually is, love.
I know him better than anyone. I know his good points, and I know his faults. I've had to live with him long enough. He might get into a scrap when he's had a few drinks. But they say he went to the pub afterwards this time.
He did threaten Margits. He's admitted that himself.
Yeah, well, doesn't that tell you something? He's not a criminal. He wouldn't do something like this.
I'd like to believe you, but there is a lot of evidence pointing the other way.
Yeah, well, maybe you haven't heard all of it yet.
Look, if you know something that might help, for goodness sake, let's hear it.
I just know. Sorry to have wasted your time, Mrs. Darpley.
George, will you ask Mr. Logan if you can spare Sergeant Bloom for a minute?
Would you like a cup of tea while you're waiting, love? Might be some time.
No, I ought to be going. One of the cows has got mastitis, and I'd like to have got the vet out, but we haven't paid his bill in a while. I'll come back later.
So you did talk to Mrs. Sullivan?
Of course.
Did she tell you anything at all?
Well, I didn't expect her to. You're not going to get anything out of a villain's wife, are you?
Well, it depends. She seems a nice enough woman to me.
Well, the thing is, she knows he's guilty, so she's just clammed up tight.
I reckon there might be more to it than that.
No, it's all right, ma'am. We can get a result without her help.
All right, Sullivan, let's have it again from the beginning.
No, not again. You don't believe me, so what's the point?
Convince me. How did the bag get in your car?
I don't know, unless one of you lot put it there.
Don't come that
Save
far,
it, lad.
bag.
Why did you go up to Hastings' place?
I told you, for a walk.
You don't like Margits, though, do you?
Well, that's not a crime.
You threatened him, that's a crime.
So I lost me temper.
You went up there to get your own back.
No.
Mrs. Darpley.
There isn't much time. If you know anything at all, we've got to follow it up now.
The thing is, I don't know if it's going to help or make things worse.
Well, you're the only judge of that, as long as you keep it to yourself. But from where I'm sitting, he needs all the help he can get.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sending you on a pub crawl, George.
Oh, thanks very much.
I want you to flush Eddie Parsons out of whatever bar he's settled in for the night.
Bit of globe of the Crown and Sceptre, I should reckon. He's banned from most of the others.
Well, when you find him, bring him in. I want a word.
Right.
Quick as you can, eh?
Right.
Matter of fact, it suits us fine. Maybe if Malado kicks his heels in a cell for a bit, he'll come back feeling a bit more cooperative.
He's obviously lying.
You reckon?
Of course he is. Trying to make out I planted that bag in his car?
You mustn't be so sensitive, David. You get accused of all sorts in this game. Manufacturing evidence, beating up suspects, taking bribes. You just do your job, keep your head down.
That's what I tried to do. Mind you, with respect, sir, I don't see that Inspector Darbley should be involved in this. It's not her case.
You've still got a lot to learn, son. Don't you take your cue from the Flash Boys on Crime Squad, zooming around in fast cars and calling the uniform branch wooden top.
But, sir, it's...
But nothing. This is still our case. We're having a cup of tea and a biscuit, that's all, taking a well-earned break. Now, meanwhile, if Inspector Darbley likes to clock up some unpaid overtime, that's her business. I mean, she might turn up some fresh evidence that will save us a lot of bother.
Yes, sir.
Never look a gift horse in the mouth, David. Just make sure that you get the credit for it. That's what cooperation is all about.
Waste a good drinking time, is this?
You make up for it, Eddie. Sit down, please. If we wanted to find you in the middle of the night, you'd be propping up a bar somewhere.
Aye, and you'd make damn sure landlord lost his licence and all.
It's not after-hours drinking we're interested in tonight.
Mind you, when we are, this is the bloke to follow.
Don't know what you're on about.
You've been taking on an apprentice, Eddie.
Apprentice?
You could teach these youngsters a thing or two, eh? Eddie Parsons, king of the poachers. There's none better than you, they tell me.
Aye. Take a lifetime to learn what I know. Not that I go in for that sort of thing anymore, do you understand?
Don't give us that, Eddie. You'll not retire till you're 6 foot under.
That won't be so long now. Not the way my chest's been playing me up.
We know you've been poaching today, Eddie.
Knowing's one thing. Proving's another.
Yes, well, we haven't done that too often in the past. And we're not really interested in doing it tonight.
Then what did Sergeant Parrish come dragging me out of a nice warm pub for?
Burglary. And assault.
You what? Hey, I'm not in that league.
No, but you are the only one who could help us get at the truth.
I don't know what you're on about. Besides, why should I help you?
It's Bill Sullivan you'll be helping, and before you jump to any conclusions, it wasn't him that gave us your name.
I can believe that. He's not a bad lad. For a brummie. Hey, it's never him you've got down for this.
He's in the frame at the moment.
Well, I'd like to help the lad, but I don't know what I can do. After all, I didn't see no burglary.
Let's start when you and Sullivan met up this afternoon.
Yes, someone's reported it earlier, madam. There's an officer on his way. No, you did the right thing. Yeah, thanks very much for calling.
More trouble?
Not really. Bit of a disturbance at a youth club disco. Nothing a couple of heavy metal records wouldn't put right by the sound of it. How about the Sullivan case? That all cleared up now?
I reckon we're on the last lap, yeah.
Well, I thought we'd see an end to it. No way helping you.
Don't you start.
Thank you for coming in at such short notice, Mr. Margetts.
I'd like to see this cleared up once and for all.
Oh, I'm sure we all would, sir. I expect you'll be pleased to hear that Sullivan has accepted my advice and decided to plead guilty.
Oh, that just about wraps it up then, doesn't it?
Not quite.
Well, if he's admitted it, I don't see what else you need.
Oh, I think you've misunderstood us, Mr. Margetts. Bill Sullivan has admitted to poaching. That's why I was on Hastings Land this afternoon.
But that doesn't prove he didn't do the burglary.
No, that's very true, sir. But, well, there was another man involved with the poaching, and when we came to look at all the statements, we were left with a few inconsistencies.
We're hoping you'll be able to help us clear them up.
Naturally, I'll do whatever I can.
As far as we can make out, Sullivan met up with Eddie Parsons, and they decided to go up to Mr. Hastings' land and do a bit of poaching.
Oh, not for the first time.
No. They took Sullivan's old banger and parked it just off the lane. You probably saw it when you got back from town.
I'd have mentioned it if I had.
Oh, I think he wanted you to see it, sir. It was a bit like the incident with the bull. He was thumbing his nose at you.
Oh, he's got it in for me. He's shown that already.
Now we come to the first inconsistency. Sullivan never went back to the car. They got themselves a brace of pheasant, and Eddie, being the smart lad he is, he'd already got a buyer lined up. So he took them down into the village in the car, leaving Sullivan to go down to the Globe on foot to get the first couple of pints lined up.
We've checked their story against the Times. It all fits.
So we're left with person or persons unknown. Or we would be, if it wasn't for inconsistency number 2, the bag and the mask.
How did they get into Sullivan's car? That did seem the clincher, after all.
And what about those farm records? I mean, what the hell would Sullivan want with those? The Beano's more his mark. I mean, who stood to gain from their loss?
Just what are you trying to make out?
Well, this is just a theory at the moment, sir, so you stop us if you got a better idea. You came back. You realised they were doing a bit of poaching. You'd had a belly full of Sullivan. You should have phoned us there and then.
But you saw a different sort of opportunity.
All right, Mrs. Sullivan, you can take him home now.
Thanks.
That would be great. What if we didn't have to see him again?
I'll be keeping a tighter rein on him in future, don't you worry.
Bear in mind, you might not be so lucky next time.
Yeah, reckon I owe your inspector, eh?
Well, don't try paying her back with pheasant or rabbit. You're back in them cells before you can say knife.
I had no idea. I thought Margetts and I got on quite well together. Comes as rather a shock to find out that he hates me.
You took over what should have been his farm. At least that's the way he sees it.
So to pay you back, we reckon he's been lining his pockets at your expense every chance he got?
At first, Bill Sullivan's habits made him a useful scapegoat. But the business with the bull made Margetts look a fool. So when he saw a chance of getting Sullivan put away and getting rid of some farm records which could have been incriminating, he took it.
Plus another 80 quid into the bargain.
Can you prove all this in court?
Oh, I think so. Sergeant Bloom is a whiz with microchips. You might be surprised what he can coax out of your computer.
Bit to learn about people, though, ma'am.
We all have, Sergeant. We all have.
Oh, they look all after you, dear. Goodbye. Please, God, you'll be looked after. Goodbye.
Mr. Garland.
That's right. They're still arguing and screaming. I hope it's all right for me to call you up so early in the morning. You're not going to do me for wasting police time.
No, Mr. Garland. 6:20 in the morning, you're entitled to call if there's a barney going on with neighbours.
It's not exactly neighbours. Follow me. I live over there. I get view of these lockups down there.
I want the money! The money! I want the money!
I'm a light sleeper. This van arrives about 6 o'clock. Then the barney starts, and it's been going on ever since.
I want my money! My money! I want my money!
Not a brass penny. But when I finish this, I'll give you plenty of bother.
I'll go for the cops!
The hospital, that's where you're for. I'll finish this, and then I'll murder you. I'll get me mates, and I'll break every bone in your body.
Give me my money! Me money!
Get off!
You, hey, you two! Jack Lord, stop there.
What's all this, then? I know you.
Mr. Lord, for the cells.
Why? I've done that. I've had now to do with anything. Why am I here?
Because your friend ran from me. And I believe there's a reason. And I think we'll find it after some checking into what you were unloading into that garage.
But I'm innocent. I weren't unloading. That's the point.
If you're innocent, Jack, that's got to be by way of a record. Will you see to him, Joe? I've got to get Bernard Duckworth out of bed.
Come on, Jack. I want a lawyer.
Ah, well, let's see if you'll be needing one first. It's a bit early to be calling solicitors out.
Bernie, it's George here. Something's come up. Could you meet me, say half an hour, lock up garages, rear of Peel Parade, Peel Road? Cup of tea. It's more than you deserve.
Listen, what am I here for?
What are you here for?
Aye.
Well, the hope is you'll tell us. Could be you and your pal of TV fanatics, but all that lot, Jack.
But they weren't mine. I had nothing to do with it.
Well, what's the name of your pal? We'll talk to him about it.
I don't know. I was just the driver.
I see. Is that it?
That's it. I drove this bloke and his stuff, and I didn't know him nor it.
Don't believe it. Too far-fetched.
You saw him. You were there.
Saw who?
Him.
Saw you?
What are you saying?
I saw you, surrounded by a great number of TV sets at 6:20 in the morning, which struck me as odd.
Oh, I see your game, you crafty swine. You stick the lot on me, you leave him out because he got away, and then you say it's all down to me.
I'm saying nothing. Until you tell me what it was all about. Why the fight?
He wouldn't pay me. He wouldn't pay me, and I'm saying naught else.
Look, how long have we known you? I mean, I've been here nearly 10 years. You go back decades before that. A regular fixture and fitting in the house of cards that makes up Hartley crime. The court's aboard with you, Jack Lord. Judges yawn when it's every court and they have to go through another tale of war with Jack Lord. And you come in here for a test in innocence.
This time I am.
Really? So what was the row about? Who was the bloke? What do you mean he wouldn't pay?
I can only tell you what won't incriminate me.
Do so.
This man, no name, he come to me and asked me to drive a van, 20 quid, from Yardley to Hartley. So I pick him up in his van and I drive to Hartley to the lock-up garages. And then he says, help me unload. And I say, bloody no. And he says he won't pay me until I've helped him unload the whole rotten lot. So we started shouting at each other.
What's his name, Jack?
Yeah, why am I talking to you? It's normally CID.
Oh, it's too early in the morning for CID. They need the beauty sleep and a proper breakfast before they deal with torture.
And what about my breakfast? And there's rotten sugar in this tea. You should know by now I don't take sugar.
You build your energy while you wet your whistle, because you've got a lot of talking to do. Because if we don't get the other lad, it's all got to be down to you.
But I haven't done anything!
It's a bit early, George.
Maybe for you.
What's this lot, then?
TV sets. All portables. 3 sizes, 3 manufacturers. And Mr. Garland, he lives up there, told this morning, about 6:15, complained there was a row going on down here between 2 blokes unloading this lot. I arrived. Jack Lord I recognised immediately.
Jack Lord. I lifted him 6 months ago for shoplifting.
Well, this looks a sight more serious. He and this other fella I didn't recognise are shouting, set to in a fight. I walk on, grab Lord, as this other fella takes to his heels.
Your description?
Mid-30s, 5'11", dark hair, slim build, wearing a black windcheater, blue denim trousers.
Oh, you don't know him?
No.
Well, shall we assume this lot are knocked off?
It's likely.
Well, I'll get a photographer over, I'll take a few serial numbers, and then I'll either get back to Hartley or go over to Division. Lord say nothing?
So far.
Well, I'll keep him on the board, give him something to think about. Don't let him go cold. Otherwise, I might decide to blank his memory.
Right.
We'll have a quick look in the van.
Morning, Joseph.
Morning, ma'am.
Tom's back from Hull around noon. Now, the battery was flat on my Mini this morning, must be the damp, so I took his car. If he wanted an I'm out, the car's in the park. Here are the keys.
Right.
These tellies you rang me about?
Yes, and something else has cropped up, ma'am.
Right. First the tellies. What was the value?
Approximately £6,000. Mr. Logan's over at Hailston. He's coming across.
And what else?
The other bit of news is from just down the road. Old Daisy Herrick's disappeared.
Daisy?
Yes, ma'am.
How could she have disappeared?
The next-door neighbour, George Simmons, takes in a milk and yoghurt. He has a key. He went in at 8 this morning. She'd gone. He's phoned his sister over at Oakland. She's coming across.
Well, she wouldn't have gone far in a wheelchair.
That's the worry, ma'am. The wheelchair's still there, but not Daisy.
Well, then she must have gone off somewhere in a friend's car.
He reckons he would have heard any car arriving to pick her up, and none did. I've notified traffic and foot patrols, ma'am.
I hope she's not out in this cone.
Mr. Simmons reckons the sister should be at the house about now, ma'am.
Right, I'll pop down and see them in a minute. Hello.
Hello.
I'm from the local police station, Inspector Darby.
Oh, yes, Daisy's often talked of you. Come in, come in. I'm Elsie Arban, Daisy's sister. Come through. And this is George Simmons from next door.
How do, lass? Call me George.
Please sit down. Would you like a cup of tea? I was just making one.
No, thank you.
But have you found her?
No, not yet, but we're going to, so please don't worry.
But where's she gone? I mean, without a wheelchair. She can only walk a few steps. She goes everywhere in a chair.
Well, the only explanation must be she either booked a taxi or was picked up in a car. We're checking all the local taxis.
Oh, it's a bit odder than that. Apart from the fact my hearing's perfect, I would have heard car draw up at door. Can I explain it? I'm just through the wall there.
The Simmons are the greatest pals of our Daisy.
I do a lot of fetching and carrying for her, and my wife, she comes in and does a bit of housework. I tell you this because, well, my wife came in today like she does every day to make bed and wash up Daisy's dishes. But Daisy'd already washed them yesterday or this morning and cleaned kitchen up very carefully. Well, that must be the first time in years. And the bed was made.
I'll get you a cup of tea, George.
And there's another thing, lass. We all know Daisy didn't have money. She kept everything she had in caddy. My wife drew a pension for her and kept an eye on her funds. Well, Saturday morning, she had exactly £9.60 in caddy. And it's still there. So wherever she's gone, she's took no money.
That's important to know.
And there's another thing, lass. Well, I mean, she had a habit of it. Whenever she wanted something, she used to knock on the wall with a walking stick, and we'd come straight away. Well, she didn't knock or say she was going anywhere.
Did she ever go out with a friend who collected her in a car?
No, well, not recently anyway. And we know all her friends. And there's a bit more to worry on. I mean, this is important. I do think she's been out of sorts. Sort of different these last couple of weeks.
Different? In what way?
Well, she's been rambling on about her life and all that. A different kind of talk than what we usually get out of her.
Toast? Aye. I've never had it toasted here before.
Take it or leave it. I'm not trying to get into where you're gone wrong, eh? Special concession, that is.
What is?
You're getting a condemned man's breakfast.
What are you talking about, condemned man?
Oh, we know a lot more about you than you think.
What?
Well, you go round masquerading as a petty villain, when in fact you're the big brains.
What?
And now we've caught you red-handed on a job. No two ways about it. We're going to use that, this minor matter of the stolen tellies, to get you for the big one.
Stolen? I didn't know they were stolen. I didn't even know what they were.
The big one, Jack.
What big one?
Oh, come on, you know, the big one. We want to know your part in the big job in the city.
What are you talking about?
Not for me, the answering of questions, Jack. You, talking about the big one. The one that was in the papers. I suppose you'll say you was just the driver.
Almighty God, what are you on at?
What I'm on at, you know well.
Papers? I don't know. No job that got into papers.
You damn well do, and the sooner you start talking about it, the better. I mean, we've always soft-gloved you, Jack, but there is another side to us. We want you for the big one, and we're going to get you.
What big one?
I just told you, you're deaf in the city.
Do you mean the Liverpool job?
Of course, the Liverpool job. You were on that, and don't you dare deny it. And our CID can either stick you with a lot, which is what they plan, or you can tell us who else was involved. Was it the bloke with the fast heels this morning?
No, it weren't him. Here, how did you know about the Liverpool job?
We know everything, Jack. Our business is simply confirmation. We hear, we learn, or we get the rumours about the jobs and the villains. Our job, then, is to get confirmation. I'll be back when you've eaten. And you'll be using your mouth for another purpose.
You think it'd be simple enough to find out if that number of tellies had been stolen? Hey, there isn't anything for us with old Daisy, is there?
Very unlikely there's a motive for abduction.
I've chatted to her several times, you know. Always find her outside her front door in the summer, sitting in her wheelchair. Always a word for passers-by.
That's right.
Well, it's on the telly, sir. 3 manufacturers, 9 main distributors. Definitely haven't been knocked off in the north. Now, one of the distributors reckons that some of the serial numbers sound like part of a batch for the West Country, so I've got his stock manager in Bristol ring me back on it.
Right, Bernie.
Could I have a quick word, Mum?
Yes, George.
Mr. Logan. Something very interesting's happened in the cells.
Yes?
Well, you know the old trick when you get the villain bang to rights, saying it's the big job you're after.
So?
Well, on the spur of the moment, I said it to Jack. I said, we're interested in the big one, the one in the city, the one that got in the papers. I mean, I was just making it up. And suddenly he blurted out that he was on the Liverpool job.
Liverpool?
Yes, sir. I said he's going to have to talk about the big one, and straight out he mentioned Liverpool.
Well, should let take over, sir.
No, if he's talking to George, I think George should stay with it. Go and see if he's got anything else to say about Liverpool.
Right, sir. I've talked to the boss.
Who's that?
Chief Inspector Logan. Oh. I find him in a generous mood this morning.
Huh?
Don't think you've ever had a proper CID grilling. And he's prepared to give you a moment's breathing space. And you can avoid an all-out grilling, but you've got to come across, Jack.
Come across where?
Come across with information. Like you guessed, it's the Liverpool job we're after, and we're after you. So what are you going to tell me that stops you from copping the lot?
The lot?
The Liverpool job. We've got a result. We've got you for the court. Now, you can either carry it alone or you can name names.
But it weren't really me. I was just nothing on it.
You carry it alone or you name names.
They'll kill me.
Oh, they won't kill you, Jack. Do you know how many colleagues I have in the constabulary?
No.
120,000. Your firm are all big talkers, but we can deal with them. All big talkers, but all little men when it comes to the crowds.
You can't call Jonesy a little man.
Jonesy?
Aye.
Which Jones? There's a dozen Jones. Which one do you call big?
Big Harry Jones.
Big Harry? All height, no brains. Oh, what was he on the Liverpool job? If you're saying you were just nothing, what do you mean you were just nothing?
I were just driver, like this morning.
Jones was driving, you mean?
No, I was. He were Brains, the governor.
Brains? What does he use for brains?
He knew the supermarket. He'd worked there.
Well, that's the first time I ever heard Harry Jones work. I don't believe it. You expect me to believe that?
He took the job so that he could find out when, at what time, the payroll arrived.
Oh, and that's how he found out about Tesco's payroll.
No, Tesco's Co-op. You will protect me from Jonesy and the rest of them, won't you?
I wanted to know about her health, her current physical condition.
Well, in the last 4 years, she's had 3 little strokes. 1 large one. She should be dead, but well, she has that resilience, will, determination of certain old people. I mean, who can explain how she survived a failing heart? She has.
But she's really confined to a wheelchair.
Well, I mean, I've seen her get out of the wheelchair and take a few steps, but she wouldn't have the physical reserve, for instance, to walk down to the bottom of the street.
So if she went anywhere, she must have been picked up in a car.
That's right. Does her sister know that Daisy's missing?
Oh, yes.
I mean, Elsie's old and frail, too. This will have come as quite a shock to her. Well, I've got about half an hour. I better pop down and see if there's anything I can do, well, to help her cope with all this.
She's at Daisy's house at the moment. I'll give you a lift round there if you like.
Oh, thank you. Shan't be a moment.
What's this then, a calf?
One's for me. Have the other one if you want it. Well, there's a bit of pressure on.
What do you mean, pressure?
Pressure on you to come across. Mr. Logan doesn't believe you.
Huh?
He says Harry Jones wasn't on the Liverpool job, so it's still all down to you.
But he was.
Well, you better produce some more names out of the bag. So there was you. You was the driver. And there was Harry Jones. He was the boss, according to you.
Well, he was half the boss. He had the information. Headed lines, he come in with the others.
But what others?
They'll kill me.
Eddie Lyons and who else?
Ron Taylor and Jack Gowran, that's the lot.
Damn, no teaspoon. I'll fetch one. Back in a minute. And then I'll want to talk about the other jobs you and this little cantata did in the rest of your spare time.
What other jobs?
You know what I'm talking about, Jack. And the talking's down to you. Ron Taylor, Jack Gower.
Eddie Lyons. I want everything on those three, Bernie, and Hattie Jones.
I like that.
Well, it might be an old trick, George, but it's working okay.
Where shall I go from here, sir?
I'll get back in there, get stuck in, see if there's anything else he wants to tell us.
I think so, sir.
George, you're doing famously.
Now, where were we?
I don't take sugar.
There was something about Daisy. I wonder whether you'd think it important. I last visited her about 3 weeks ago, and we had a conversation. Talked about the future.
Yeah?
Well, I just told her that she could start thinking about the possibility that at some time she might be so able to live alone. I mentioned St. Margaret's house. You know, out near Orme Hill. Very good home for the old folks.
Yes, I know it.
Yeah, but I'm afraid she took it rather badly. I mean, I wasn't very specific, just mentioned the possibility that she ought to start thinking about it for the future. But, as I say, she was most put out.
No sign, ma'am. I've knocked on every door along East Short Street as far as Ainsley Road. Collis is heading up Ainsley Road just now.
Where are the others?
Spread about. It's getting cold, you know, ma'am.
That's the worry, that she could be out in all this. Keep looking anyway.
I've covered Shawcross Street, ma'am, up to the Havering Road where she's been known to visit. Some others, up Ranley, Law Street. There's no sight nor sound of her, ma'am.
All the taxis have now been quizzed. Nothing.
I think the lads need a brew up to thaw out, ma'am.
Yes, OK. Meet me back at the station. We'll get properly organised. It's now down to searching front gardens and vacant lots. And then it's Frogman and dragging the canal.
Yes, ma'am.
My office in 20 minutes. I'm going to pay another visit to the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't worry. I'll get prescription attended to. I'll go to chemist.
Later, George. It's just for some of those funny pills, relaxifiers. I don't want pills. I just want Daisy.
Maybe that's news. Oh, hello, lass. Come in. Have you found her?
Not yet, Mr. Simmons. I wonder if I could have another word.
Go on in.
No news?
Soon, I hope.
Yes.
Look, I wondered if Daisy had ever mentioned to either of you a conversation she had with Dr. Patel about the possibility at some future date of her going into the old people's home at Orme Hill.
What, was she to go into home? I didn't hear that.
Well, she never said.
No, it was mentioned only as a future possibility.
She wouldn't have liked that. Conservatory was alive. There aren't no conservatories in those places.
No, all she's been talking about these last few weeks, blethering on, well, you know Daisy, was the good old days. All about the war and pre-war. And I'm talking about First World War when she was a lass in Hartley. All the old recollections. And all fascinating because she's never really talked about them before.
I see. Well, think back and perhaps remember some old friend of hers who had a car and might have called.
But we have. There's no one.
Keep on thinking, just in case. How's it going, sir?
I think it's one for the memoirs, Jean. Or better still, Parish's. He's got Jack Lord in there singing like a whole Avery. We've got the 4 names of the firm on the Liverpool Co-op job. Hattie Jones, Eddie Lyons, Ronald Taylor, and Jack Gower. All of them big villains. He's getting info now on another job that Jones did, and all from nothing. Less than nothing.
Marvellous.
All the time we thought that Jack Law was just a local nuisance. It turns out he's been driving for the big firms for years.
And you're going to leave George interrogating?
The result is getting I wouldn't dream of disturbing him. Come and have a listen.
Being generous, Jack. You can't understand that, can you? That I'm prepared to be generous with you. But it's the pressure's on me. It's very difficult under continuous pressure to make these very precise distinctions.
Oh, what you're saying, I don't know what you're on at.
Well, you said you simply drove a van, right? After Harry Jones and this Matt Tucker had pulled the job, they drove to you, parked in a back street, and then you drove them home, as it were.
As it was. That's as it was.
Well, you've got to convince me, Jack. Are you saying that's all you did on the second Tucker job? Where was it?
Millenhall.
Are you sure? There was no wages snatch in Millenhall.
I didn't say it were a wages snatch. It was another sub-post office job. Only I didn't know what the job was till after.
From Tucker and who else?
Well, Macy was on that one.
Brian Macy?
Brian Macy. Now there's one we'd really like.
I'd like not to, sir, but I have to leave you.
I'll see you later.
Tucker brought him in. They've done something together. Anyway.
Right. Let's tick off this list. Taxis are all checked. Car hire.
Yes, ma'am.
Ambulance service.
Yes, ma'am.
Hospitals.
Yes, ma'am.
Bus shelters.
Yes, ma'am.
Park.
Yes, ma'am.
Public library.
Yes, ma'am.
And all immediate neighbours.
Yes, ma'am, me and Arthur.
I've been down Fourfield Street and Norton Lane, knocked on all doors. No sign of her, ma'am.
I've got 4 men searching the area around the canal just in case.
How many more can we muster?
2 more immediately, ma'am.
Right. With Daisy Herrick's house in Fourfield Street as the centre of a quarter-square-mile block, put 2 into this centre block and then 1 to each of the 4 outer blocks, roughly bounded from here to here and Deer Park Road to Ranelagh Lane.
Right, ma'am.
Now then, this means a thorough search of all gardens, front and back, all waste ground, disused or unoccupied buildings, even unlikely ones. I'll leave you to sort out who goes where, Joseph.
Right, ma'am.
Now, come on, lads. We must find her.
OK, ma'am.
Gallagher,
Sergeant.
I want you to take this Ranelagh Lane.
Gene?
Sir?
Apparently you've got 15 men looking for old Daisy.
I can't get my hands on any more at the moment.
Now look, I've got this old fella in the cells. Now he's in a bit of a state. I think we fit him at the exact moment of a mental breakdown. Now, I need some more men. I need people to go over to division, to check files, to get out on the street, to check some up-to-date addresses for some of these villains. Now, I need some of your 15.
I'm sorry, sir. You've got Jack Lord safely in the cells he'll keep. Daisy might be out somewhere in this cold, and if she is, we have to find her before she dies.
Thank you, Gene.
So, started talking about Alf Harrison.
Harrison?
I'm afraid I have to keep coming back to you, Mr. Simmons.
Oh, don't apologise, lass. You're more than welcome here. We're all trying for the same thing, find Daisy.
How's Elsie?
Oh, I did convince her to take one at Doctor's Relaxifiers. She's in bed upstairs. I mean, this is taking a lot out of her. We're none of us young. I've sent a message to tell her husband she'll be here for a while.
It's good she's getting some rest. I came to ask you, Mr. Simmons, if you happen to know if Daisy ever lived in any other house in Hartley.
Don't you know it, lass? She's been in this house all her life. And she's been talking about that lately, too. You know, about growing up here and her younger days and her mother widowed. And then the one boyfriend in her life, when she was 16. Merchant sailor he was, name of Albert. One great passion. It only lasted 6 months and then his ship was sunk by the Germans. That's what's been full in her mind for the last few weeks.
I see.
Oh, and I was just going to go down road to phone you. I've noticed something else a touch odd.
Oh, yeah?
The plants. Daisy's plants. Well, she loved them and talked to them, but, well, I always water the top ones. Some of them are a bit awkward to get at.
Yeah?
Once a week, like it would be today or tomorrow for watering, but I noticed they're all of them, nicely wet. So she must have soaked them yesterday, and that's first time in years.
So she did 2 things unusual. She watered her plants and she washed her dishes.
And then went.
Almost as if she was making sure everything was right because she was going away.
I'm afraid it looks like it.
And she left her wheelchair, and there were no signs of a car arriving, so she's probably local. Try to think, Mr. Simmons, of anything she said lately about any place in the vicinity.
Aye, lass, I will do.
And all we can do is get on with looking for her.
I hope you don't mind us being in here, Jean. The CID room has 6 rather large sergeants in it.
You got enough men?
No, but we'll struggle on. There's been a development with Jack Lord.
Oh, yeah?
Parish got him to the point where he started talking about a sub-post office job. Millenhall. £18,000, 3rd of July last year. Well, Lord has tucked up 3 more names with the job, all known. Tucker, Macy, Alf Harrison.
That's quite a team.
Yes, but one of them isn't on. Alf Harrison was in Parkhurst on the 3rd of July. He wasn't released until September last.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Any chance he's completely having you on?
No, I don't think so. It's clear that he has driven for the gangs, and I think he was on the Liverpool job and the other jobs. He's given us lots of details on those. No, I think it's more a question of the reliability of his memory, that's all. It had better be.
Otherwise, it's a few red faces.
We don't really need remarks like that, Jean.
Then I'll clear out of your way before I make any more. I'm just taking a quick lunch at home. I'll be back in half an hour.
Have a nice lunch, Jean.
Half an hour. Nothing elaborate, Tom. I've got to get back on this search.
Just omelette au jambon, dear.
Why don't you call it what it is? Ham and eggs.
You've no class, Jean. I mean, you're personable enough, lass. Bright, clever even. But just no class.
How was Hull?
Well, you know what they say about Hull. Where's Daisy Eric?
I don't know, and I'm worried.
She told me this wonderful story, Daisy, about Joe Pig.
Who's Joe Pig?
Well, that was the name of her Coleman when she was a little girl. They called him Joe Pig because he put his pig on the wall to watch the May Queen procession go by, because he thought it was missing something, you see. Anyway, Joe Pig had this awesome cart to deliver his coal. And apparently he used to beat this poor old horse to make it go up Birch Brew. One day he was beating it as usual. Suddenly, halfway up the hill, he dropped down dead. He turned to Daisy and he said, "Well, I've never seen you do that before." Mind you, in a place as small as Harley, I don't see how you can lose an old woman who can't even walk.
We're doing everything we can. And I have enough men out there. She's been talking about her past life. And her one affair during the First World War with Albert, the merchant seaman.
It's a bit like me Auntie Delia. Well, last year of her life, her mind suddenly went back 60 years. Not a word about her second husband. She'd been married to him for 40 years. He was waiting on her hand and foot. It was all about Harold. He'd been killed in France in 1915. He'd only been married for 6 months. Suddenly it was Harold this, Harold that. Never mentioned him in 40 years. Suddenly total recall, total living in the past.
It must be her past. It's something to do with her past. Some place she shared with Albert in the past.
Are you arguing with me?
I'm not.
Well, it seems like it. I'm trying to tell you the truth.
I appreciate it.
Relieve my mind. I mean, now that you've got me cornered, I'll give you a lot.
Well, that's good, Jack. Get it off your mind.
I mean, I know you lot have always treated me with contempt. Jack Lord, nobody. Biggest crime, stealing sweets from a baby, right?
Not me.
Well, I wasn't that, see. I was big time. I drove for all the firms. I've known them all, and they've known me. I've known all the big villains, George. Over the years, I've fooled a lot of you.
Well, we're just a little worried you're fooling us over this £18,000 Millenhall sub-post office job.
All right. So I was Wrong about Alf Harrison. It weren't him.
Who was it then?
McArdle.
McArdle?
John McArdle. The one that did the Wilberley sub-post office job.
How'd you spell his name, this chap who did the Wilberley sub-post office?
Right, let's talk about this. Jack Lord, 31 convictions over 38 years. Caught rowing with the just-named Peter Howard Wilson, 6:20 a.m., truck full of stolen tellies. Now, Wilson makes off, but when we catch him, he is unlikely to corroborate Lord's role of innocent van driver. And if he does, it's clear, and we're all agreed on this, that for a period spanning 9 years, unbeknownst to us, Jack Lord has been driving for various firms. Some minor villains like himself, but also for some very important thieves. Driving anything from getaway cars to stolen goods, etc.
No question.
Now then, since he's been talking to George, he has mentioned 19 names and connected them with various crimes which are still on the files. Now, these names seem to fit with so far one discrepancy, which he has admitted. Well, I think we're going to have to bring in a task force now to put this together and pull these people in. But before we do that, has he said his whole piece, all of it?
I think so, sir. He says no more, and he seems totally exhausted.
Well, I think we should assume there is more and continue to question him.
Well, I'm inclined to agree with you, Bernie, but what we've got here is a cooperative informant. And we need his continuing cooperation if we're going to make any or all of these charges stick. Now, there's a real chance that if we press him, he's going to turn sour on us. Well, I think we'll take a rest and think about it for an hour. Anyhow, the bottom line on this, George, is that you have done an amazing job.
Is Elsie still resting?
Her doctor's pills have still got her asleep. I think it best not to disturb her unless you've got news.
Not yet.
She hates pruning, Daisy. Says it hurts the flowers. It don't, of course. It aids them. So while she's temporarily absent, I'll just do a few of these quickly.
Mr. Simmons, you mentioned certain conversations you'd had with Daisy.
Oh, aye.
About her life as a girl. You mentioned she talked about an Albert.
The old flame, aye, the one and only.
A couple of times you said that. The one and only.
Well, it weren't no permissive society in those days, lass. You had to really love someone to take the risks.
Did she ever give you details about where Albert lived or where they visited together? Did they ever go anywhere together?
Have you never heard of chaperoning? It were a fine art in those days. Daisy had a very strict mother, and mothers in those days were armed with rolling pins and tongues that cut like saws. If you were having an affair, my God, you had to keep it a deadly secret. You couldn't even tell your best pals.
But how did they meet? I mean, did they get together, alone?
Aye, they did, there's no doubt about that. That was the one love of her life.
But how, if she was chaperoned everywhere?
Chaperoning was a daylight pursuit. There was many a lass in Hartley waited till town hall clock struck 2 and then out of bed, into her clothes and out at window. And off you know where.
No, I don't know where.
To Lover's Lane, lass.
Where was that?
Ah, well, that depends. Daisy still gives me a wink when she mentions her Lover's Lane. A wink and a smile for a memory that's 60 years gone.
Mr. Simmons, where is Daisy's Lover's Lane? Where in Hartley did they go?
Well, it's very simple, lass. You go straight out at front door, straight across the road past garages and up Top Fell. It's the flat bit at the top of the hill.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Inspector Derby to Hartley.
Hartley.
Is Sergeant Beck there?
Yes, ma'am, he's here.
I'm outside Daisy Heddick's house. Ask him to join me as soon as possible, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Joseph, we're going up Top Fell.
What for, man?
We're going to check up there, along the ridge. Daisy Herrick might have gone there.
That's impossible.
Right. You'll need your wellies. Right. Joseph.
She's gone, yes?
Yes.
How did she manage it to get up here?
Hello, Jean. Hey, I was really sorry to hear about old Daisy. It was exposure, was it?
Yes, sir.
I'd heard she couldn't walk 5 yards, and yet she made it all the way up Top Fell. It's amazing. Well, I must be getting back to DHQ. Organise some more troops to deal with the revelations of Hartley's super grass. Mountains of paperwork followed, hopefully, by lots of arrests. See you anon.
Yes, sir.
Good night, George.
Still here?
Yes, Mum. Just been writing up my notes for CID.
You did well today, George.
Thank you, Mum. You off as well?
Yes, I'm going home. But I shall stop by and see Daisy's sister and the neighbour.
How did she take it?
Badly.
Sorry about old Daisy, Mum.
Yes, a lot of people will be sorry to have lost Daisy.
Yes, Mum. Everyone who ever knew her. See you tomorrow, Mum.
Yes, George, tomorrow.
I who have nothing.
14 heavy-duty HGV batteries, a sort of manufacture, all new. Item 3 pneumatic jacks. Pneumatic. P. L-M-N-O-P. P-N. Detective Sergeant Melchett. Oh, hello, sir. What, from London? What do they want up here? State secret, is it? Yes, I'll do that. I'll ask them. When I'm expecting them this afternoon? Right, better tell the boss, hadn't I? Do we have names for these two Wallies? Who? Winder. Right, Winder, yeah. For what? Oh, for Nell. Right, thanks, sir. Yes, if I find out, I'll let you know.
You're not trying to tell me Waterloo Estate's a radio dead spot all of a sudden, are you?
Tough set. Might not have been charged right.
Yeah. One day that'll happen and it'll be urgent.
Leave it out. I'll have it checked.
Hello, ma'am.
Sergeant,
Who won?
who do you expect?
You?
Oh, don't sound so surprised about it.
Bayek. Nailed him.
What did he get?
240 hours community service.
Well, you've made my day. I was beginning to think that young hooligan would never get his card marked.
A real feather in your cap, Mum.
Aye, very creditable.
You're very kind, but I can do without it, you know. Every time I get a result, you treat it like some minor miracle. If you've any congratulations left over, you might remember Roland here. I couldn't have done it without my star witness.
Well done, lad. Now, the inspector wouldn't say it if she didn't mean it.
Help shop.
Can't do anything right, can we?
How long before you admit she's got a point, Joe?
Can we help you, sir? I want to see someone.
Right. Will I do, sir?
No.
Mr. Greenwood, isn't it? What can we do for you, sir?
I want to see Gaffer.
Yes, well, you tell me what it's about and I'll decide that, sir, if you don't mind.
It's about yon foreigner up at Tarnhill House killing my sheep.
Strictly speaking, your sheep shouldn't have been on the road, should it, Mr. Greenwood?
Oh, where have you been, love? Can't have had one.
No, I do realise that, but you've no actual proof that it was Mr. Palin who ran over it.
There's only him and me uses that back road, and he drives it like it's a bloody racetrack. And that's for now, man. What's it going to be like when he's open, damn place? Cars at all hours, half of them too tanked to see straight on them lanes.
There was an inquiry, Mr. Greenwood, to consider all these objections before any licence was granted.
I know. I were there. But a right fix do.
That's rather a wild allegation.
He'd greased off Palmsby then.
I think you ought to be a bit careful what you say, Mr. Greenwood.
Look, love. Should I tell you what he offered me to drop me objection?
None of this is strictly relevant to your dead sheep, Mr. Greenwood.
Except there's going to be more, isn't there? Bound to be.
No, not if you repair your walls or whatever and keep them where they're supposed to be.
Oh, well. Bloody obvious whose side you're on.
I am on no one's side. Now, whoever ran over that sheep hasn't reported it, which is an offence. I shall certainly be going to talk to Mr.
Talk?
It will be investigated, but as regards the future, you are his nearest neighbour, and like it or not, I think you're just going to have to make some effort to live together.
I hate him. I hate what he's doing. Bloody drinking and God knows what. My place used to be home farm to Tarnhill House once. I can remember when folk like him wouldn't get past gate. No.
You tell him from me any more trouble and I shan't bother to come here again. I'll sort it myself.
Send him up after lunch.
Right, boss.
Hello, Pete. How's tricks?
What's this? Lose your way off the North Circular, did you?
Bearer of bad news, I'm afraid. Martin's out.
So what went wrong? I mean, he got 15, didn't he? Wants to tell me about it.
Took it on his toes, didn't he?
Escaped?
Yeah, went up for his appeal, jumped the screws.
Stroll on.
I had a bit of help with him, mind you.
He'll be looking for you, Pete.
Well, yes, he would, wouldn't he?
Take him a bit to find, Joe.
What are you going to do?
Well, we're here.
I can't drop out of sight again. I'm supposed to be opening this place in a fortnight.
Best talk to the locals. Get them sorted.
Bloody hell.
What we doing here, huh? I mean, what's it matter? He's a slag the same as Martin.
It's not Pete we're bothered about, is it? It's nicking Martin when he comes to do him. That's why we're here, Cole.
Are we? Looks like they want you to bag up.
Have to learn their manners then, won't they?
Squaddies.
Here. See that bit of skirt? Could have sworn she had pips up.
Sheep? I never touched his sheep.
There aren't many cars use that lane, Mr. Palin.
You're here because of a sheep? One dead beast may not seem a lot to you, sir, but somebody like Mr. Greenwood, it's a big loss.
Are you saying that I killed it? I'm bloody have him.
He's saying it could have been, and I'm asking if it was.
It'd have been him a deep freeze by now, wouldn't it?
They call that theft.
Oh, for pity's sake.
If it wasn't you, sir, have you any idea who it could have been?
Look, I've got electricians, carpet layers, blooming great furniture vans coming and going. How the hell am I supposed to know?
Yes, well, we'd like a list of all the vehicles that may have used the lane this morning so they can be checked. Also, I understand that you gave an undertaking to the inquiry, Mr. Palin, to restrict all vehicular access to the premises to the drive leading off the main road so that this back lane wouldn't be used.
Once we were opened, we're not yet. What we were talking about there were the punters' cars, that's all.
I think you might be well advised to make that all cars, including your own, as of now, Mr. Palin.
Well, that adds another 4 miles on.
I don't want Greenwood provoked into starting a range war.
Miserable git.
He's been here a lot longer than you have.
So what?
So, you'll abide by your undertaking, or I'll have this place closed so fast you won't know what's hit you.
Bloody knockcott.
We, passed in the lane. Wonder what Pete had been up to.
Murdering sheep.
What is this? Who are you?
Detective Inspector Winder, Detective Sergeant Thornell. Shall I inspect your card, Cole?
What's going on here?
You the governor?
Of this section, yes.
Oh, just about to make our number with you.
Save your breath. All she's interested in protecting is dumb sheep.
Just what is going on here?
I thought we were expecting governor.
Not by me.
Well, that's not our fault, is it? I mean, if your people don't tell you these things.
Oh, hello. I'm glad you're back.
Were you aware of the fact that we have 2 officers from the Met sitting on our patch?
Yes, Winder and somebody. I've got it written somewhere.
Then why the blazes didn't you tell me?
I've been trying to catch you.
Did it not occur to you to leave a message? I can read.
I didn't think it would make much sense.
At least it might have saved me from giving the impression that I didn't know what was going on in my own section.
I don't get it. Who's been having a go at you?
That's not the point, Sergeant, is it? But since you ask, they have. Our 2 visitors from London, who no doubt think that we're just clod-upping country cousins without us going out of our way to prove them right.
Sorry, Mum.
The point is, Sergeant, you had a clear duty to make sure I received that information at the earliest possible moment, not just when it suited you, sometime never.
Point taken, Mum.
Yes, well, I hope it is. Right. Now, I think Mr. Logan ought to be in on this, don't you?
Well, if I knew what they were here for, I might be able to say.
I think you better ring your wife, David. Warn her you might be late home.
She's a bit of all right, isn't she? Huh? Your governor.
How do you mean?
A good looker. Wouldn't you say, Gov?
Depends whether you like it in uniform. Never gone for it myself. How about you, Sergeant?
Never thought about it, sir.
Yeah, I can believe that.
I was an obos with a woman inspector once. Very popular lady.
I think you'll find Inspector Darbley's pretty popular herself around these parts.
I couldn't do it, you know. Take orders from a skirt.
The only thing that counts is how well the job gets done. Inspector Darbley's as good as any male boss I've known.
Your trouble, you're just a sexist pig, Cole.
Sorry to have kept you.
Oh, that's all right. Sergeant Beck's been keeping us well amused. He's a real fan of yours.
Detective Sergeant Melchett, Detective Inspector Winder, Detective Sergeant Fornell. Do you think you could find us another chair, please, Sergeant?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, well, so we all know what we're talking about. I think you'd better fill Sergeant Melchett in up to date.
You got a fella living up here called Palin, Peter Palin.
Tarn Hill House Country Club, owner of.
London bloke, right?
Ran a string of drinking clubs and restaurants. Thing is, he had a business partner called Martin Wright, and he's a real villain. Palin was the front man. The way they work it, Wright knocks over some security van, supermarket or something, and the money gets laundered through the business. Buys another restaurant, maybe.
It's not unknown.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Oh, Tarjo.
See you in the morning.
Yes, ma'am. Good night.
Oh, good night, Joe.
Anyway, I don't know why, but Palin decides he's not happy.
Oh, I reckon he just got greedy.
Yeah, well, whatever, he grasped him. Got Wright sent down for a 15 stretch. Then he sold up, pocketed all the money, his partner's as well as his own, and cleared off up here.
This is a fellow who's just been granted a liquor licence.
Well, why not? He's clean, he's got no record.
Unsavoury associations, at the very least.
So what's your interest now?
Martin Wright got himself sprung 3 days ago.
And you think he could be headed this way?
Well, I know the way he feels about Palin, I'd put money on it.
But no proof that he is?
No.
Only if he is, and if he gets to him.
If he was prepared to stay put in one place, his house, then I might be able to offer him some level of protection.
That's just backstop stuff, though, isn't it?
Only real protection is to make sure Wright never gets that near him.
Well, I presume every police force in the country will be doing that. I mean, we are talking about an escaped criminal. Hopefully he'll never get this far.
Hopefully.
Still, got to assume he will, though, haven't we?
Yes, I realise that.
Look, a little back end of nowhere like this should be able to clock who comes in, no bother.
Just how many men do you think I've got?
Road checks, rail stops, bus station, how many does it take?
For how long?
Till he's nicked.
You don't actually know that he's headed this way.
He is. Just take it from us.
You've no proof.
Well, what do you think we're doing here? If I wasn't 100% certain, do you think my governor would let us swan all the way up here?
He could just as easily be making for his wives, his girlfriends, abroad even.
He's got no wife, his bird's being watched, just in case I'm wrong, but I'm not.
You give me something solid like proof that he's actually headed this way, and I will ask Division for reinforcements and give Palin blanket protection. But until then, he will have to make do with loose surveillance. I will send a car round his house and his club at regular intervals.
Who's your governor?
Detective Chief Inspector Logan, and he works out of division.
Right, you make us a meet with him, son. We're staying at a place called...
Bellin.
We'll be waiting to hear from you.
Detective Chief Inspector Logan is fully aware that it still comes back to a question of my manpower.
I'm sure he is, ma'am, but it just seems to me he ought to know what's going on. Night, both. You may reckon your pin-up girl's the best thing that's happened since Charlie's Angels, Sergeant. But I can tell you she wouldn't last 2 days where we come from. And if she doesn't get hold of what policing's all about, we're going to have this station jumping.
Today started so well. Go home, David. If your tea's spoilt, tell your wife to blame me.
Thank you, Mum.
Sergeant Martin. Hello, love. Still at it?
They call it dedication. I don't know what the answer is, except maybe getting a dictaphone in the car, dictating as I go along.
Oh, get some funny looks from the traffic cops. This room's a mess. In fact, it's a right tip.
Suppose it is.
What do you mean, you suppose it is?
When you get used to it, you start seeing it after a while.
Wants redecorating for a start. I'll have to... What colour do you fancy? Then we might have some incentive to keep it tidy.
What's that?
It's this crazy life we lead. Both of us too knackered to do anything except fall into bed and sleep.
Look, it's not easy writing these things. I'm getting behind as it is. Can you just let me finish this one, then we can talk,
Anything to eat? Sorry.
I bought some chips in.
Suppose I better make myself something then. Except I can't be bothered. Fancy a drink?
Not a bad day.
Morning, Court.
Oh, well done.
We've got 2 Met coppers visiting. Oh, they really know how to rub you up the wrong way. Do you know, today I've been treated like the head girl of an all-boys school. Tolerated as a temporary aberration.
Oh, I'm sorry, love.
The trouble is, they might be right. And I was less than helpful, not only because of what they wanted, but also because I didn't like them.
Well, perversity isn't confined to women, is it?
Not many men would admit it. I'm not looking forward to tomorrow. Somehow retrieving the situation.
Right. Thanks. Hanging on there, are you? Yeah. Well, let us know one way or the other. I will do.
Anything I should know?
Bentley's just been on from the hospital. Palin's still alive. I reckon he'll likely stay that way as well.
Conscious.
Mr. Logan's waiting for you in your office, Mom.
It's only just occurred to somebody to inform us. What kind of ship do you run, lady?
As tight as you'll find.
Got them well trained, have you, to cover for you? Give you time while you get your excuses sorted? Well, let's just get clear on one thing. If we've missed Nick him right, it's down to you.
If you want your meet with Mr. Logan, you better follow me. If you ever have anything to say to me again, Inspector, you'll know your time and your place, or I'll have you off my patch for good and all. Detective Inspector Winder, sir, and Sergeant Fornell. They've only just heard.
Gentlemen. Sir. You'll not have been out to the scene, then?
No, sir.
Oh, well, it's best not to have too many feet tramping all over. I left scenes of crimes well at it.
At least we've not got murder, sir.
Yet.
Chances are we won't have either. The hospital's just been on.
He's lucky, then.
I take it he's not able to talk yet. Lucky, but not right helpful, then. I see that you reckon this escape con Martin Wright for it.
Always sworn he'd get him.
We even had a whisper that's why he got himself sprung, didn't we, Gov?
Well, if it was him, he'll not be on our patch now, then.
Sergeant Tunstall there, please. Sergeant Beckett Hartley. Ta. Fred. Yeah, it must be all of that. Listen, Fred, you know this fella Martin Wright who's gone over the wall at the Scrubs? Well, we've got these two Met Wallers sitting on us up here, reckoning he's going to turn up here. It's a long story, Fred. The thing is, I've got a sneaking suspicion that this Wright fella might be on your patch, not ours. What do you reckon? Now, what I'm trying to say is, he could be. And I'd like these two Met Jacks to think he is. Do you follow me? That's the idea, Fred. Champion.
Engine was still warm. I reckon it must have happened not more than an hour before he was found.
Which was at 7:53. Any vehicle seen at or near the house between 6 a.m. and 7:45?
We can narrow that down a bit, sir. We've been keeping a regular eye on Tarnhill House as of last night. P.C. Clegg's previous visit was at 6:30 this morning. Nothing out of the ordinary.
The gun, then. Fired, yes?
At him or by him?
No obvious bullet wound that I could see.
Checking with the hospitals? Anything that we've missed? Yes, Inspector?
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Thought you ought to know. We've had word Wright may have been sighted.
Where?
Manchester, sir.
When?
Last night. He booked into a hotel. This morning they found he'd left without paying his bill.
Identified by photo, have they?
As far as I know.
I take it you've no objection if Sergeant Fornell and I drive over to Manchester, sir?
There's no reason to believe that he'd go back there?
We'd like to make sure, just to say, might turn something up.
Up to you.
Yeah, to get in touch with Sergeant Tunstall. He's got all the details. He'll fill you in. You'll find him at headquarters. If you don't know the way, I'll give you directions.
What were you going to say, Jean?
I think we're in danger of getting blinkered by this Martin Wright fella. I think we should be very careful to keep an open mind. Because despite what these two gentlemen seem so sure of, I'm not at all convinced that this attack has anything to do with Wright.
Why?
It looks like Palin was beaten up, badly. But that's not the same thing at all as someone actually trying to kill him. And if it had been his ex-partner, I would have expected him to make a better job of it than that.
I'd go along with that.
So, you're favouring what?
We know Palin made enemies. There's a farmer, his nearest neighbour, who was good as threatened to do him over here in my office.
A feud, then? Something local?
Why not?
All right. An open mind, then. No blinkers. Let us explore every possibility there is. Only, Jean, let us not get blinkered the other way either. Just because you don't want it to be this fella Wright doesn't mean that it's not.
Afternoon, Mr. Greenwood. Lost any more sheep at all?
I weren't expecting you.
You didn't answer my question, Mr. Greenwood. Have you lost any more sheep?
No. Should I have?
I take it you've heard what happened.
I just saw all them police cars and ambulances and thought it must be bloody Monte Carlo rally.
You didn't see any other cars or anything up at the house a bit earlier, did you?
No. And I can't say I'd tell you if I had. Palin got what we're coming to, and I can't say I'm right sorry.
What time are you usually up and about of a morning?
6-ish. I've only a few cows, but they need milking.
How long does that take?
Oh, I'm usually through by 7.
And then what do you do? This morning, what did you do?
I made my breakfast.
Have it on your own, do you?
Ah, if my lad's not here.
And this morning?
I were alone.
Where's your lad?
How should I know? He does what he wants.
So you weren't anywhere near the house until you heard the police cars and the ambulance arriving?
That's right.
As an alibi, Mr. Greenwood, I have to tell you this. It couldn't be much thinner. You can't prove a word of it.
I can't help that, can I?
You won't deny you made threats against Mr. Palin when you were in my office.
I meant him and all if he'd had any more of my sheep. Somebody never gave him the chance, did they?
I've a feeling it's going to be a long, hard haul.
A man like Palin's probably got more enemies than friends.
A lot of legwork, Sergeant.
Crossing Greenwood off, then, are we?
For the moment. But let's not forget about him.
And is that everything during the past 3 days? Yeah, well, what about vehicles recovered that were stolen in the south or over Manchester way? No, well, make certain we're the first to know, will you? Yeah, nothing. Well, I think I'm going to call it a day. How about you?
Well, there's something, I'm sure of it. Something.
Like what?
Tarnhill House? I don't know. Something not right, only I'm bloody if I can put my finger on it.
Sleep on it. Good night.
How soon before he can be interviewed? Well, it's essential for us to know whether he can identify the driver. Just look at some photographs. I see. Well, thanks for letting us know anyway. Not sure whether it's good news or not. No, I don't suppose it does make much difference to him, but it might to us. Bye. Apparently his injuries are wholly consistent with having been knocked down and run over by a vehicle of some kind. Which makes me think it might be right after all. Waits for him to arrive, knocks him down and away. Any joy?
Not a lot. No, I think it's fair to say it wasn't quite as fruitful as we'd hoped.
I'm sorry.
Sergeant Tunstall a friend of yours, is he, Sergeant Beck?
I know him, sir.
Nice bloke.
Yes, very helpful too, wasn't he, Cole?
Oh, definitely. Got to know our way around Manchester pretty good, thanks to him.
You know what we've been doing all day? Just sitting in a motor, driving round Manchester all day, thanks to him.
No leads?
Wright was never in Manchester, lovey. Tunstall knows it and your sergeant here knows it. Wild bloody goose chase. He ever pulls a stroke like that again, I'll have his bloody warrant card.
No idea what they're talking about, man.
Hey, listen, pal. What's happened to your windscreen? Hey,
No, I'm sorry. There's nothing like that been handed in. Well, if it is...
7189 to Ardley.
Yes, I've got your address, Mrs. Hudson.
7189 to Ardley.
Yeah, righto then.
7189 to Ardley.
Go ahead, 7189.
Oh, it's me, Sarge. Is it legal to drive round with no windscreen?
Say again?
I've just seen this van, Sarge. It had no windscreen, no road tax, and the back number plate was falling off.
So what did you do?
Nothing. It drove off like before I could stop it.
Hard luck. Did you get the number?
The thing is, Sarge, I know him, the driver. He used to go to the same school as me.
Well, in that case, why don't you have a quiet word with him? Point out to him that his vehicle does appear to suffer from a number of defects, and if you see him out in it again in the same condition, you'll do him.
Right, Sarge.
Come in. I get the distinct impression you know something I don't.
When we were up at Tarnhill House yesterday, there was something bothering me. But it wasn't till I was shaving this morning that I clocked what it was.
You know, it's a complete fallacy that women spend most time in the bathroom. Tom's the same. What have you been doing in there, I say to him, and he says, thinking.
Not enough booze. I mean, he's supposed to be opening that place in 10 days, right? So, you go in the bar, and he's got optics up, but his shelves are damn near empty. I've just been up there checking his stocks against his invoices, and from what I can make out, there's less than half the booze there that he's paid for and had delivered.
So you reckon he's been turned over?
I reckon when he arrived yesterday morning, he found them bang at it, tried to stop them, and they ran him down.
Doesn't sound like the kind of stunt an escaped convict from London would try and pull. Does it to you, Sergeant?
Local, ma'am. It's got to be.
I've never seen it before.
Excuse me, Mr. Greenwood.
Clear off, you! I don't need you! I can handle this one myself!
Mr. Greenwood.
Shut up! Have you no problem? I'll not take that from you. You are, you're dead. You'll be dead if I get you. I'll get it.
7189 to Hartley. 7189 to Hartley. Come in, please.
7189, Hartley. What is it this time?
I'm out at Tarnhill Farm, Sarge. I think I need some backup.
What are you doing there?
You told me to, Sarge. To see the lad that owns that van. Only I think his dad's trying to murder him or something. I mean, they know I'm here, but it sounds like someone's getting killed in there.
Bell in. Could I speak to either Mr. Winder or Mr. Funnell, please? Oh, are they? No message, thank you. Bye. They're not there. Apparently they've gone down to the hospital.
Bullying the nurses to let them see Palin, I'll bet.
Do you think I should ring them there?
Excuse me, Mum. We've just had a call from Bentley. I can't really make out what's going on, but I think he needs assistance.
Where is he?
Tarnhill Farm, Mum. That's what I thought you ought to know.
What on earth is he doing there?
Bit of a long story, Mum.
Well, if he's taking on Greenwood, I'm not surprised he needs assistance.
Well, from the sound of it, it might be more serious than that.
How do you do it, Roland?
Eh? Sergeant Parrish told me to have a word with him.
The point is, he probably wouldn't have done if you told him who you were talking about. Anything new happened?
No. It's been dead quiet for quite a while now.
Where's your son, Mr. Greenwood?
Gone.
Gone where?
How should I know? I told him to clear off and not bother coming back.
There's been a constable out in the lane the last half hour, Mr. Greenwood. He hasn't seen anybody leave.
He wouldn't, would he? Not if somebody slipped out that way. You can give over chasing him. I've done your job for you. Took my belt off to him and give him the hiding he deserved.
Taking the law into your own hands again, eh, Mr. Greenwood?
I'm his father. When me taught him the difference between right and wrong, and if he's forgot, it's my job to remind him.
With your belt?
I don't care what you think about me. I'll not have a lad of mine thieving, no matter what. And I don't need you to tell me what to do about it.
How about telling us how it all started?
You try to bring him up right. I never spared him. Life's not spared me much. You just put your head down and get on with it. You don't owe, you don't beg, you don't steal. You make best of what is. Work. You don't go bloody thieving. I've just told you.
You've told us he's been thieving, but not what?
I'm not simple. If you didn't know, you wouldn't be here.
The constable only came to talk to your lad about his van, Mr. Greenwood, and we're only here because he reported hearing blue murder. Now, do you think you could be a bit more specific, please, and tell us exactly what's been going on?
Sorry, ma'am, excuse me. I thought you ought to see these. I found them in the back of Ronnie's van. There's another and all full of vodka.
Well, Mr. Greenwood.
Any more, are there?
If all this came from where I think your son nearly killed someone yesterday, Mr. Greenwood.
Aye.
But don't you think that's a bit worse than thieving?
Not when it's a fella like Palin.
Well, you may have belted your Ronnie for thieving, Mr. Greenwood, but when we catch him, he's likely to be charged with a good deal more than that, including assault causing grievous bodily harm. And while we're at it, I've half a mind to charge you with obstructing the police and withholding evidence.
I wouldn't put it past you.
Sergeant Beck to Hartley.
We'll catch him, no problem. According to his father, the lad's story is Palin fired at him and smashed the windscreen. The lad lost control of the van and knocked Palin over by accident. Could have happened that way, I suppose. Which reminds me, I must talk to Mr. Palin about his firearm. But in the meantime, I think you can take it he's safe enough where he is, if you're still worried that Wright might be headed this way.
Wouldn't discount the possibility.
As of this morning, I think there have been unconfirmed sightings in Hull, Carlisle, Bristol, Maidenhead and London, of course. You'll be able to write a book soon about all your travels.
Bet there'll be a good chapter on Manchester.
Grateful for the cooperation and hospitality, ma'am. Hope we'll see you in London sometime, so we can reciprocate.
Don't like London, Inspector. Dirty, crowded, bad-mannered place.
Inspector.
Ma'am.
Gentlemen. Sergeant Beck.
Ma'am.
I wonder what the newspapers would make of it if a policeman was ever charged with wasting police time.
Reckon they'd enjoy that, ma'am.
Please don't feel you ever have to do that again. But thanks all the same.
Can't do nothing right, can we?